every branch working together. And with the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Now through June, purchase online with Beacon Pro Plus, web or app, and earn up to $1,500. Beacon, always building.
Fed Up Kitchen's now open American Fork. Use promo code WELCOME10, all caps, at the American Fork location only and save 10%. Visit FedUpKitchen_AF on Instagram.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union, helping members since 1935. And Andy Farnsworth, we've been worried about flooding coming from the mountains, but right now it's coming from underground.
Yeah, 800 South, 300 East in Salt Lake City, a water main break now affecting travel through that area. It looks like a lot more people are now going down to 900 South as an alternate. It's a couple blocks east of State Street in Salt Lake City, 800 South, 300 East. Still have issues on the freeway as well, North 15 between 90th and 7200 South, running slow. The ramp to I-80 from I-15 still slow, but it looks much better finally coming south from Ogden all the way to downtown. There's no more delays on the freeway to slow you down. Find out more about how your kitchen or bath can be the kitchen or bath of your dreams in just 3 days. Visit 3daykitchen.com. That's 3daykitchen.com. I'm Andy Farnsworth in the KSL Traffic Center.
Our KSL weather, a high of 84 today with a 40% chance of rain and a low of 62 degrees. And right now, 68 degrees with some light rain at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic, your morning companions for talk, analysis, and key perspectives on Utah's biggest stories on KSL News Radio.
Hey, Andy, are you still sitting in the traffic center there with your headset on? I'm hoping
Yes.
you are. Sorry to catch you off guard. First of all, good morning. Second
morning.
of all, do you have a visual on that water main break on 8 South and was it 3rd East?
8 South, 3rd East. I don't think I have a camera in the area. I was just getting the details on it a minute ago. Let me see here.
I know
think
the Salt Lake City Police Department actually called us to notify us about it because it's happening now and impeding traffic.
Yeah, no, the closest camera I've got is at 9th South and 7th East, and then I've got one on State Street, or 7th South and Main, but they're not. I don't have anything on 8th South, unfortunately.
We know you're keeping an eye on it for us. Thanks, Andy.
Yeah, Deb, the water main breaks, they can just tear up a road. So it'll be very interesting. We'll follow, see how much damage has been caused.
We have
and
a
if
crew
you're
on
going to
the
have
way there,
to,
too.
yeah, and you may have to avoid that area for a little bit. All right, let's jump into the show. It's 9:08. It's time for the launch.
Sequence engaged.
Here are the 3 things Debbie wants you to know.
Countdown. 3.
At 9:35, we're going to talk about road rage in Utah. The case of the innocent couple killed while driving in Eagle Mountain over the weekend. The case of the driver shot this week in Layton. The case in Salt Lake County, in Salt Lake City, actually, where shots were fired at a victim of a hit-and-run car crash. The case in South Ogden, a female driver with a child in a car seat with shots fired into their car. A bullet lodged in the headrest, and there are others. This is all the road rage blotter in just the last 6 weeks here in Utah.
Everything from hit and runs to, these brandishings. Obviously, these things are becoming more and more common.
We just spoke to a Utah lawmaker about potential solutions that the state legislature may be looking at. How about this? Road rage enhancements. Obviously, it's already illegal to speed or to change lanes dangerously, to run somebody off the road. But if they find that happened because of road rage, is there an appetite to enhance that crime?
Countdown. 2.
If you missed it, if you missed Vice President Mike Pence's announcement that he is running for President of the United States, that means you're not a vampire. You literally slept through it because he tweeted a video announcing he's running to be the most powerful man on earth on Twitter in the middle of the night. I think you better pick up the pace at a CNN town hall tonight because that kind of stuff just ain't going to cut it.
And it'd be easy to stay on the sidelines. But that's not how I was raised. That's why today, before God and my family, I'm announcing I'm running for President of the United States.
Debbie basically hates every way that people are announcing. If you do it on Twitter, then you have technical issues. I hate it. You post it late at night. I hate it. All right, Deb, how do you want them to announce? I don't care when they announce. I don't care anything about how they do it. I want to hear what they have to say. What's their plan? What's their vision? Mike Pence, for those folks that love President Trump and his policies, but maybe don't like President Trump personally, how is Mike Pence not the perfect solution?
Launch countdown 1.
It was a wild, deadly scene in Ogden. What began as a police call for help over a violation of a protective order ended with one person dead, a police officer shot, wheeled into a hospital emergency room. What you are about to hear are the sound of bullets flying from video that we obtained here at Broadcast House. And we're also about to learn why seeking a protective order is still encouraged for people who fear their partner will turn violent.
How eerie is that sound? You hear the birds tweeting in the background along with gunfire? Just a terrifying situation. And it never ceases to amaze me, Debbie, that people will just stand there and record. You don't know where those bullets are coming from. You don't know where those bullets are flying. But everyone's just standing up, recording everything.
Dave and Dujanovic.
The launch.
Commence.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
What we know and what we don't know about what happened yesterday mid-afternoon in Ogden. We know, according to police, they arrived on the scene and there was a male suspect with a gun, that they were responding to a call for help over a protective order violation. We know that there was an Ogden police officer who was shot and at last report was in stable condition. We know that the suspect is dead and that the scene was described by the deputy chief of the Ogden Police Department as chaotic.
It is important to note that this situation was highly chaotic and rapidly evolving, leading to the involvement of multiple officers discharging firearms during the incident.
Debbie, let's replay some of that gunfire that we had just heard, and you will hear how it escalates, how it starts off with a few shots fired, a little pause, and then just a hail of gunfire. And you mentioned it was the police responding to a protective order. Now, a protective order and a restraining order are different things. Oftentimes we kind of conflate the two, but a protective order is specifically in regards to a fear of violence toward a person. So they will get a protective order. A restraining order is more all-encompassing, but a protective order very much is about violence.
I want to get to Adam Small, who has been tracking the latest developments on this. Adam, as I said, there's some things we know. We know that a suspect is dead. We know that a police officer was in stable condition who had been shot. But we don't know what caused this, and we don't know what case this protective order is attached to. Do you know more today about that?
Well, we're still working to gather more information for sure. But yeah, this protective order is something we're just starting to kind of figure out. I mean, the biggest things that we've been knowing and been trying to emphasize this morning is just what you said, in that, the suspect is dead, actually was pronounced dead on scene. But the biggest thing also being that officer that was shot. At last update, that officer is still stable, still receiving treatment in the hospital. But, I mean, just as you listen to that audio, this definitely sounded chaotic, as Dave described it, just that flurry of gunfire. But we're definitely still trying to track this, but it may take a little bit of time, too, just because since this is an officer-involved shooting, that investigation is immediately handed over to the county task force, in this case the Weaver-Morgan task force, to investigate what exactly happened here.
Adam, and I just want to make it clear, with all of those bullets flying and people standing around who were recording it and actually sent it to us here at Broadcast House, we don't know of any other injuries. besides the officer. Am I correct?
Yeah, because I haven't heard of any other reported injuries besides that officer as well. I mean, I think anyone who stays this close to a scene as chaotic as this, and that's what even the officers described this as, is that it's very lucky to be okay. I mean, it's amazing in our society how much we pull our phones out and how we rely on those to capture all these different things. But yeah, from what we're hearing, no other injuries. That one officer that was shot is stable. The one suspect dead. But yeah, I'd say the people that were close to this are pretty lucky.
Adam Small, thank you for tracking this story for us.
Heard that it happened in an apartment complex area next to a technical college in the Ogden area. But when we hear reports like this, stories like this involving protective orders, those who have one out against someone or seeking one may feel like, what's the point? What is the point of getting this piece of paper? Well, next, we're going to speak to an expert who helps people work through domestic violence situation. And she says, oh, yeah, there is still a need for them.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
Summer 2023 will be one to remember.
Mike Pence and Chris Christie set to enter the race.
Governor Cox is actively looking for trade away from China.
Brace for higher gas prices. It's a summer to camp out on KSL. Tim and Amanda have breaking news. Mornings 5 to 9. David Dujanovic and Boyd Matheson talk about the biggest stories during the day. And you get updates and Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News from 3 to 7 on the drive home. The summer of 2023 will be on KSL News Radio. Elder abuse often goes unnoticed and unreported, especially when older adults are isolated and lack access to resources. Well, on June 15th from 10 to noon, you're invited to a virtual event hosted by the Utah Department of Health and Human Services and Aging Service Partners, because June 15th is World Elder Abuse Awareness Day. The focus of this year's conference is working together in collaborative partnership to educate, report, and prevent financial exploitation and other forms of maltreatment against older and vulnerable adults in Utah. You'll hear from a wonderful lineup of notable keynote speakers, including an introduction from Utah's Governor Cox. Please help protect Utah's older and more vulnerable adults, not just on one day, but every day. Attend this virtual event on June 15th from 10 a.m. to noon and find out what you can watch for. Text SENIOR to 57500 to register. That's SENIOR to 57500.
With the economy the way it is, you're probably staying put. So invest in your home, your number one asset, with beautiful custom replacement windows from Advanced Window Products. They're a local Utah company building beautiful vinyl framed and insulated double pane windows for 37 years right here in Salt Lake City. Advanced Window Products will save you money on your energy bill. Get security features to keep your family safe. And at Advanced Window Products, it's all custom. And the best part? They're local. They build the windows, they install the windows, and they guarantee them for life. So there's no middleman markup. You save on the highest quality windows in Utah. Plus, Rocky Mountain and Dominion offer rebates. For a limited time, they offer 60-month 0% financing. And right now, get $2,000 off 10 windows or more. They're working 8 weeks out, so make the call now. Advanced Window Products, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or visit advancedwindowsusa.com.
He might not have a badge, but we have faith in his killer instinct. Celebrate the 10th anniversary of famed detective priest, Father Brown. Stream the new season now, only on BritBox.
That sounds like a marvelous plan.
Plus, watch even more unofficial detectives in much-loved series, including Agatha Christie's Marple, Murder in Provence, and more. Expect intriguing mystery. Expect the Undetectives. Start streaming today at BritBox.com.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
The strenuous conditions inside a race car is what makes our sport very challenging physically.
Joey Logano is a multiple NASCAR champion.
My lower back pain, my knee pain would all come in just through the grind of the race season.
And this is Joey's Good Feet story.
When I was fit for arch supports at the Good Feet store, for me, it completely changed the game. Not only helped with my pain, but completely changed the way I feel and perform. As I learned my feet can help my back, I never really thought of it that way, but it really does end up that way, and my balance improved dramatically. When I left there, I was like, I gotta go tell my pit crew about this. With the arch supports, we can be better, we can be faster. There's only one thing I changed. It was just putting the arch supports in. I was hurting, I changed one thing, and I feel great. This is like the best kept secret. In one way, I'm mad about it because I wish I knew sooner. You can't just take my word for it. Go to the Good Feet store, try them out, and see it for yourself.
Stop by the Good Feet store in Farmington, Riverton, or Sandy for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit mygoodfeet.com.
Text us here in the studio and give us your opinion. The Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line at 57500.
Calling all Utah locals. See the Southwest by rail on board Rocky Mountaineer. They've extended their latest offer until June 30th. Save up to $1,200 per couple. Visit RockyMountaineer.com to book.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, drivers in downtown Salt Lake will have to steer around a water main break at 800 South and 300 East. Second, a person is dead, a police officer recovering in the hospital right now after an officer-involved shooting last night in Ogden. And third, New York and surrounding states covered in a thick layer of smoke coming from wildfires burning in Canada. Right now, 68 degrees with light rain in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic. Special coverage of the top local story.
Police say it began when their officers were called to an area of Ogden near an apartment complex and a technical college for a protective order violation. And it ended in a very public shootout yesterday afternoon, which may have some folks asking, what is the point of a piece of paper, of a protective order? Because clearly it cannot stand up to flying bullets.
Yeah, protective orders, restraining orders, I think a lot of us, I certainly don't understand the difference or the purpose of them, what kind of protections they do give me against somebody that I might be worried about. But to paint the picture, if you're just joining us in the car, I want to play the audio of this gunfire. And we're not trying to be voyeuristic here, but just to let you know, and you can hear it, and you can even hear it escalate. Somebody was recording this on their phone. They sent it to us here in the station, and you get a good idea of how violent it got. And you can hear the sirens in the background. You can, oddly enough, hear the birds tweeting in the background. And then you have somebody standing there, Debbie, with their phone, and they're just videoing this. And I can't help but think, like, do you realize what kind of danger you're in? You don't know where those bullets are coming from, where they're being fired. These bullets, a 9mm, can travel anywhere from 1 to 3 miles. So you might think that you're safe, but what an incredibly dangerous situation this was.
Well, let's talk about the protective orders, and we don't know a lot about this particular case. For example, we don't know what prompted the phone call to police for help. We don't know who had taken out the protective order. We do not know the name of the deceased individual, the male suspect that police told us about after the hail of gunfire had ended, when they gathered back together at the police department at 6 o'clock last night. But we do know that initial call came in, according to police, as a violation of a protective order. Kimmy Wolf with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition, she's on the line with us right now. Good morning, Kimmy.
Good morning.
I do worry that when we hear a hail of gunfire like that, and we talk about that in the same sentence as we do, a violation of a protective order, that people who are seeking protective orders feel they need a protective order, have one out against somebody, will think, well, what good is that? Because clearly, a piece of paper can't stand up to a bullet.
Yeah, absolutely. But, a protective order is so much more than a piece of paper. And I think it's important for the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition to clarify any negative perceptions of any remedies for domestic violence victims that have the potential to decrease incidences of future abuse.
So what does a protective order do then?
Sure. So protection orders they're legal interventions designed to reduce future threat or harm by a person who's determined to be pose a threat to another person. They are a tool for victims of domestic violence. And I think the easiest way to understand the value of a protective order is that a violation of a protective order is a crime in and of itself. That's separate from any other related charges. And these violations may actually be easier to prove than the criminal charges that led to the issuance of the order in the first place. So the protective order does establish that when there's a violation, that in and of itself is a crime.
What are the differences between a protective order and a restraining order?
Protective orders, those words are often used interchangeably, but a protective order does have oftentimes restrictions, restraints within that order. Usually it's prevention of going to a home, a place of business, a certain level of distance from, the person who has received the protective order. So there is a level of restraint within all the protection orders.
What does a domestic violence victim have to show to the court in order to obtain a protective order in the first place? And by the way, we're speaking to Kimmy Wolf with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition after police ended up in a shootout with a suspect last night or yesterday afternoon in Ogden over what they were called to was categorized as a violation of a protective order. So what does a victim have to show a judge or somebody at the courthouse?
There is involvement just because of the nature of, who is, mandating and issuing the protective order. There does need to be involvement with law enforcement and the judicial system, which is not always a comfortable option for some victims of domestic violence. However, it does need to start with interaction with law enforcement. There does need to be a claim of abuse. There does have to be, some type of substantiation of the abuse in order for the protective order to be engaged.
Substantiation. What do you mean by that?
Well, usually by a law enforcement officer that, when the officer responds, that he or she does see evidence of, of harm, of, abuse to the person that is filing the charges. So it is a criminal matter.
Kimmy, are there a lot of protective orders issued in Utah? And I don't know what I mean by the word a lot. I don't even know how many are out there. Are these orders that people seek every single day in our state?
Orders that are sought out every single day in the state. However, not every victim of domestic violence is going to want to opt for a restraining order or order protection. And I think it's very important to note, not to scare anyone away from this, because, engaging with law enforcement could be traumatic in and of itself for, some individuals, especially in certain communities. And so I want to stress that even though this is a criminal matter, even though that, there are going to be, court responsibilities, that this is not mandated. So just because you are engaged in, filing a police report, you do not have to get a order of protection. And so I want to stress that, this is not something that will just automatically happen. A victim of domestic violence does have control over whether or not they seek out an order of protection.
Kimmy Wolf, thank you for joining us.
Kimmy, real quick, could we give out the domestic violence hotline number for anybody who feels like they might need some help or some counseling or some direction and guidance?
Sure. And this hotline number is it's 24/7. There's language capabilities, and it can get people connected throughout services throughout entire Utah. So that's 1-800-897-LINK, LINK.
Kimmy Wolf, thank you for joining us with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition.
Several angles that we are looking toward today is to find out more information about why this happened and who the individual was that prompted this phone call to police. And what I mean by that is the suspect who was killed in that shootout yesterday in Ogden. Also seeking, our newsroom is seeking an update on the condition of the police officer who was shot and was wheeled into the hospital. Last word, we understand he was listed in stable condition. Next, we've had several cases of road rage reported, shots being fired on the freeway. The Utah Highway Patrol joining us to explain what to do if you are driving along and you encounter somebody who is enraged.
It's 9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. There's a water main break keeping traffic from passing through the intersection of 800 South and 300 East in Salt Lake City. We're learning a little bit more about this now. Police telling us that water service to a senior housing complex in that area has been interrupted. They hope to have that restored by this afternoon, but the actual water main break in the pavement at 300 East and 800 South could take several weeks to repair, especially on the 300 East segment of that. One person is dead, an officer hospitalized after a shootout in Ogden yesterday. Ogden Deputy Police Chief Jake Suby says the scene was chaotic.
I am relieved to let you know that the officer is in stable condition, but continuing to receive treatment.
Suby says the shooting happened near Ogden Weber Technical College. People in the neighborhood say they had to duck and could take cover while the shots were being fired. Utah's Department of Health and Human Services has an unwelcome message for about 6,000 Utahns after they sent letters to the wrong people. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston has details.
The DHHS will notify the affected people today about what data was on the letters, plus what actions affected Utahns can take to keep their accounts secure. Every letter contains some personal data, like addresses and birth dates, while about 200 of these letters had much more private information, like social security numbers.
Going forward, a department spokesperson says DHHS will conduct mailing tests before sending letters with benefits information. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The finger-pointing continues in Ukraine after a dam there was destroyed and put thousands of lives in danger.
The Ukrainian President, Zelensky, warned last year on at least 2 occasions that Russia was planning to blow the dam up. Now, like any other major incident in this war, each side is blaming each other.
ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge reporting there. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up on the day right now, 46 points. The NASDAQ, on the other hand, is down 44 points. And just ahead, it could be a little earlier getting our rain today than we've had in the past few days. That's next. KSL News Time, 9:33.
We have enough people running around Broadcast House at 4 in the morning to field a football team.
Producers, reporters, the traffic team, and us.
This is Tim and Amanda.
Join us each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
It doesn't get better than summer camping in Utah, and it doesn't get any bigger than the Utah Summer RV Palooza, presented by Bish's RV. We're bringing the biggest RV show in the region to Layton, June 8th through the 10th, for 3 days only. The Layton Hills Mall is where you'll find a massive selection of top RV brands like Go Play, Ember RV, Forest River, Northwood, and a whole lot more. Get up to 20% below cost on select new 2022 RVs, and get 90 days no payments on approved credit for all play and no pay till September OAC. Summer RV Palooza is where you'll find a brand new 26 BH travel trailer. It's high quality at an undeniable value at a sale price of only $19,995. The selection is huge, and so are the trade-in offers. Get max value for your current RV when you trade in at the show. Shop the Summer RV Palooza now at Bishes.com/Utah RV Palooza. 3 days only, June 8th through the 10th at the Layton Hills Mall. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
Interest rates have gone up for buying a home, but not for remodeling the exterior of your home. This week only at RGS Exteriors, it's our zero interest financing sale. That's right, 0% interest on any gutters, siding, windows, or any exterior remodeling project on your home. We have programs for 12, 18, and 24 months, all with 0% financing. But the sale is this week only at RGS Exteriors. Want stunning James Hardy siding? 0%. Need to replace your windows? 0%. New gutters or gutter covers? 0%. How about a full extreme makeover? That's right, 0%. We've also been serving Utah for 5 generations, so you can trust us to do the job right. All work is backed by our exclusive 10-year everything guarantee for total peace of mind. And this week only, everything is available for 0% financing with approved credit. Don't put off your new exterior project any longer. As always, estimates are free, so call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
Home is where the heart is. It's also where the office is, the school is, the restaurant is, the stadium is. Basically, your home is now the center for everything. So right now might just be the perfect time to upgrade your living space to one that has, well, a little more space. If you've been thinking about building, with home prices leveling out and material costs coming down, right now may be the perfect time to start building your dream home. Let the construction loan experts at Golden West Credit Union help make building your dream home a reality with a convenient low-rate construction loan. We also offer one-time close options so you can secure your construction loan and mortgage conveniently at the same time. Get a personalized rate quote right from the comfort of your own home or with a lending expert at any Golden West branch, or apply in minutes online today at gwcu.org. Golden West Credit Union, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 440574.
We'll take care of you.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union, helping members since 1935. Here's Heather Kelly.
We've got a new crash northbound I-15 at 7200 South in Midvale. It's the exact same spot we had an earlier crash a couple of hours ago. It's over on the left shoulder. Traffic backed up to 90th South in Sandy. And a reminder, 300 East is shut down between 800 and 900 South in downtown Salt Lake due to a water main break, so you need to avoid that area. Wake up with a sore back? Upgrade your mattress today at Durden's new sleep center. Durden's mattresses on 5th South and Bountiful. Durden's, brands you know at prices you'll love. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy through the day with a chance of thunderstorms again this afternoon. We have a cooling trend with temperatures in the 80s this week and the 70s next week. And right now, we've got 70 or 68 degrees with light rain at KSL News Radio 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic.
2 road rage incidents in just the past few days, and we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about road rage. The first one left 2 innocent drivers dead, sending the suspected road rager to the hospital, likely facing criminal charges, according to the Sergeant Spencer Cannon in Utah County.
Now, all the regret in the world can't change what the outcome is to a situation that, had they thought about it, would have maybe realized that this isn't some behavior that I should be engaging in.
And these 2 that were killed were just on a leisurely Sunday drive. Got caught up in a fight they had nothing to do with, leaving families reeling after this tragedy.
It is absurd. It's completely absurd and has completely robbed 2 families of 2 beautiful souls.
There was another one that had, I guess it was a black Harley-Davidson motorcycle driving on I-15, fire into a car, sending that person to the hospital.
And it's been going on for months. As we went back through our archives here, we didn't have to go very far back. We're going through our emails. Several road rage incidents had just popped up, just filled our email inboxes.
Yeah, you just started sending me all of the road rage incidents over the last couple of months. May 29th, someone gets cut off. They brandish a weapon, drive away, they crash, they pull a gun again, shoot out the back of their window. They are firing from the driver's seat out the back of their window. On May 2nd, a South Ogden man fired several bullets into the car. This was the one you referenced. The slug was lodged in the headrest.
There was a child in the car as well.
Yes, a child in the car as well.
Yeah.
April 5th, a Salt Lake City man shot several times in the arm. In February, West Jordan, brandishing a firearm and then driving off. It is time and time and time. I had forgotten about all of those. I remember these last 2 from this week, but it's far more prevalent than we realize.
Just before the show, you dialed up State Senator Todd Weiler. What did you want to know from him?
First of all, is there a way to track how common this is? Is there a database? Is this just a bad run of luck, a bad run of road rage incidents, or is this a larger problem? Is this happening often enough that we need to address it specifically?
I'd like to review the data, to the extent we have it, to determine that. Certainly, the two deaths of these two innocent people, raises everyone's ire, and it was, tragic and unnecessary loss of life, and so that certainly has my attention. But I don't know if this is kind of like Shark Week, where once a week, once a year, everybody's focusing on shark attacks, and they're or if there is really a persistent rise. I'd like to, verify that with the data. But to the extent that there is a substantial increase, I think we need to we need to address that at the state level.
Fair enough, but we just pointed out 6 incidents in a very narrow window of time. Sergeant Cameron Roden with the Utah Highway Patrol, maybe you can help us. Is this just a bad run of road rage incidents, or is this something that the Utah Highway Patrol is responding to more often?
It is an incident that we respond to more often than we should be, because these incidents are 100% controllable. We all need to maintain control of our emotions and our driving as we're out there to keep not only ourselves safe, but those around us. So it is one that we've responded to several times over the last few months, and a lot of those you've named just recently.
Is there a way to track road rage? Is this something that you do? Perhaps when you respond to a crash, do you investigate the motivation behind it? Perhaps it is tied to road rage, and then is that documented somewhere where we can follow it?
So there are some things that we document as far as, like you had mentioned, a crash. We do document if we suspect road rage as part of that crash, and we do look at those numbers. And looking at those numbers over the last several years, we range from anywhere from the 700s into the 800s, and we're about on par with that for this year as well. But not always do these incidents end in crashes. Some of these incidents, where we've had shots fired, like we've yesterday and previous times, but some of these do end in crashes, and we can get those numbers. But as far as incidents that don't end in crash, there's really no tracking mechanism for those, because the charge usually ends up being some type of either a traffic violation or some type of a criminal violation.
Did you say 700 to 800 per year?
Yes, 700 to 800 crashes
that you could tie to road rage. Wow, that's a staggering number, Sergeant.
And that's just crashes, which is a lot. Yeah. That doesn't even include, it sounds like, incidents that didn't end in a crash, Sergeant.
Correct. Yep. That does not include those events.
I actually, I drive around pretty paranoid. I'm pretty paranoid anyway. I mean, I was making sure my car doors are locked, my windows are rolled up. I've gotten to the point, Sergeant, that I just leave enough space between my front bumper and the person in front of me's back bumper that if I needed to get out of that tight area at some point because maybe somebody's freaking out in the car in front of me, which has happened, I can actually somehow maneuver my car around. But what's a realistic tips that you give folks if someone starts road raging against us for no reason?
Yeah, we never know who we're traveling around, what kind of condition that they're in, or what kind of things are going on. So we need to make sure, first of all, that we control ourselves. We need to make sure that we're out there, we're driving in a way that is respectful to others and is safe for ourselves and others. Mm-hmm. And that's where we start. We start with making sure we're doing the right thing. But then, too, as we're out there driving and something happens, we don't take it personal. Because as soon as we engage and we start to retaliate, then we become part of the problem. And that retaliation is oftentimes what leads to these escalations. So if issues and things that need to be reported to law enforcement, please report those instances to law enforcement. Call 911 if necessary to be able to get these incidents stopped. That way law enforcement can respond as quickly as possible. But don't try to handle these situations yourself. If it becomes dangerous to the point where you feel like you need to separate yourself, try to create that distance, take an off-ramp, do something like that. to get away from the aggressor.
Sergeant Cameron Roden, thank you for joining us from Utah Highway Patrol.
We just heard just a small portion of the conversation that you had before the show with Utah State Senator Todd Weiler, who said, well, these incidents that have happened in the very recent past of road rage, a situation in Eagle Mountain where 2 innocent people were killed, someone up in Layton shot at, fortunately not hurt, but other people shot at. We listed 6 instances just within our email search from press releases and charges that were filed. So Senator Todd Weiler wants to know if this is just more than like a Shark Week moment where it's just happening, once in a while. But we heard 700 to 800 cases that result in crashes a year in Utah.
Yeah, and Debbie, that's a staggering number, far more than I expected. But I was looking at some national trends, national statistics. You are not going to believe how many people are killed every year by guns in road rage incidents and how it compares to mass shootings. Next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
Hey, Derek Overstreet here from the New Millennium Group, financial advisors in Utah. I've been helping people retire in the state of Utah for the last 20 years. The way we do that is we actually find out what is important to you. We create a step-by-step plan that takes into consideration your income, your debt, whether you want money from real estate, stock market, annuities, life insurance, whatever. If you want to deal with professionals, people that are fiduciaries and have a legal responsibility and obligation to do what's in your best interest, give my team a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Or go to my website, utahsfinancialplanner.com. If you'd like to retire 3 to 5 years before you thought it was possible, give my team a call right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
I dug right along with my friend Steve Sales. We're on the movie show, and we are big fans of NPS. And, Steve, I can't believe it took us so long to discover NPS.
It's kind of embarrassing, isn't it? But now that we have just discovered amazing products at 30 to 70% off. And then lately, it's been 50% off some of those things.
There are always special sales. And don't get that wrong, because when they say 50% off, that's off the 30 to 70% that things are discounted each and every day. And we're talking about great new quality stuff.
Yeah, this is not secondhand merchandise. This is brand new stuff, and it's always... the deals are unbelievable.
And there are 4 stores. There's Layton, there's Orem, there's Salt Lake, and there are 2 stores in Salt Lake. One is a little more industrial, sporting goods, outdoors, tools, that type of thing. Right across the street. Right across the street there on Empire. You're going to love your experience at NPS.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and I wanted to let you know what you can expect when you walk into one of our 10, soon to be 11 stores. This story came to us from one of our many 5-star Google reviews.
I was panicked and needed help. My daughter had a serious family emergency, and I needed to travel out of town. but I couldn't haul my oxygen tanks with me. I needed portable oxygen. I tried several companies and they all said I didn't have a prescription. I went to Alpine and they called my doctor. 20 minutes later, I was on my way with a portable oxygen machine.
At Alpine Home Medical, we understand how urgent your healthcare needs can be. We'll do everything we can to exceed your expectations. Let us help you bring wellness home. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
alpinehomemedical.com.
Take a break from financial worries. Meet the Mountain America debt consolidation expert for a chance to win a vacation package. Details at macu.com/debt rescue.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a man was killed, a police officer wounded in Ogden yesterday in what police say was a chaotic scene. Second, a water main break has shut down traffic along 300 East near 800 South in Salt Lake City. And third, Ukraine and Russia blaming each other for destroying a strategic dam. People who live in the region are dealing with a devastating flood. Right now, 68 degrees with light rain in Salt Lake City. And back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Just getting what we feel is pretty good news from the National Weather Service, canceling their last remaining flood advisory and warning. That was at the Sevier River. No longer on flood watch. And they're saying it marks the end of a 40-day stretch of flood-related advisories from the National Weather Service. So are we in the clear?
We made it. Debbie, that we should actually be doing a little bit of a dance. I know you're a great dancer, but it's an incredible accomplishment that after this historic all-time snow year, that our water managers, and I understand Mother Nature had a little something to do with this, but the fact that we didn't have massive flooding, we had a few incidents, no question. That was to be expected. That happens just about every year. But the fact we didn't have massive issues is quite a testament to our state and local leaders that did the legwork, put in the hours, spent the money to prevent something catastrophic.
In our 10 o'clock hour, let's track down some government officials who want to pat themselves on the back. Should we do that?
It's easy to criticize.
If you're a government official
we'll give
and
you a
you
pat
want
on the
to
back.
pat yourself on the back, our phone lines will be open in the 10 o'clock hour. We are going to be tracking down more information on that story with the help of our producers and our reporters in the newsroom. But as I just said, the National Weather Service canceling their final flood advisory and their final warning for the Sevier River. It's been 40 days of, there's been a 40-day stretch of flood-related advisories. The last one just got canceled.
Yeah, the Sevier River, I guess, was the last one that was troublesome, and they just canceled that advisory. So this is great news.
We're going to continue to talk about road rage. On average, we've had so many incidents lately. We counted up 6 just in a quick search of our email here at Broadcast House. When story tips come in or police press releases come in, 6 in just the last few weeks. So many road rage incidents here. 2 people killed, other people scared out of their minds because they've been shot at, that we decided to sit down and do some research and some math on it. And what we found is that road rage injures or kills someone in the United States once every 16 hours.
Yeah, I found some of these numbers in an article from Bankrate, and it was shocking to me how often this happens in the United States. And specifically when guns are used. 554 people last year were shot and either injured or killed. 141 of those died, were shot and killed.
Gun violence on our roads.
Yeah. Road rage.
Categorized as road rage.
Yes.
Somebody flips out while they're driving a car and they shoot and they either hurt or kill somebody else.
Yeah, 141 deaths.
And you found that where?
Bankrate actually did some research, and it broke down a lot of road, what led up to the road rage, what causes road rage, why we get so frustrated. A lot of these things, it's either I'm frustrated with traffic, something that's going on at home, I'm running late. and then someone cuts you off, then you have this disproportionate response. But when I started processing 141 people that have been killed in road rage accidents, I started thinking, how does that compare to mass shootings? Because I started doing some quick math, and like this is more than the mass shootings that we've covered.
Which
so I
we
went to
cover all the time, right?
We cover all the time.
We should. You know, I mean, these shootings are catastrophic when people, gunmen walk into schools or they walk into public places. But to your point, we don't often or always just cover road rage incidents. But you're saying there's so many people who are dying that it just needs more attention.
Yeah, the New York Times listed recent mass public shootings for about a 14-month period from 2021 to 2023. There were 71 people killed in these mass shootings, and I'm talking ones you know very, very well. Uvalde Elementary School, the Buffalo, New York supermarket murders, the New York subway shootings, Nashville. 71 people died in those. We remember these very, very well, but twice as many people died in road rage incidents. That was shocking to me.
And so that leads us to the discussion that you had just before the show with Senator Todd Weiler, who called you about, like, can state lawmakers do anything about this?
Well, think of how many state laws have been passed and how much legislation has been passed in regards and in response to mass shootings. Our schools are totally different. They're totally different. The way you get in, how many people can come in, how you have to check in. We pass laws all the time to protect kids, right? In these ways. When road rage is a huge issue. So Senator Weiler, I asked him, how big of a problem do you see? And do you see lawmakers stepping up?
I know that we track citations, motor vehicle citations. We track auto accidents, we track fatalities, but whether we're tracking the motivation behind them, whether it was road rage or someone falling asleep or someone dropping their cell phone, I'm not sure how that is tracked.
And we just spoke to Utah Highway Patrol Sergeant Cameron Roden, and he said, yeah, we do track road rage. In fact, this was a shocking number to me.
Looking at those numbers over the last several years, we range from anywhere from the 700s into the 800s, and we're about on par with that for this year as well. But not always do these incidents end in crashes. Some of these incidents, where we've had shots fired, like we've yesterday and previous times, but some of these do end in crashes, and we can't get those numbers. But as far as incidents that don't end in crash, there's really no tracking mechanism for those, because the charge usually ends up being some type of either a traffic violation or some type of a criminal violation.
So reading between the lines, we have far more than 700 to 800 road rage incidents in total every year, because what they do track are the ones that result in a crash, but they don't track the ones where somebody, maybe there was no car accident involved. And I think this brings us to an important dialogue about solutions. And look, you're your own solution in this situation. You're the one who can stop yourself from reacting to or starting a road rage incident. But what can lawmakers do?
Road rage, to the extent that it causes people to violate, traffic laws or kill somebody or drive recklessly, that's already illegal. And so one thing the legislature can't do is make it double illegal. What we can do is make sure that the penalties for the crimes are appropriately situated so that drivers are incentivized to do the right thing and not to overreact.
When you say it's illegal, are you saying it's illegal in the sense it's illegal to speed, it's illegal to brake check, or are there road rage enhancements?
No, I'm saying that the traffic violations and homicide, things like that, are already illegal. There's not specific laws on road rage. There's just laws on, lane changes and speeding and, negligent homicide, intentional homicide, all of those things.
In the investigation, would there be an appetite, or is this an angle is to add an enhancement, maybe kind of like something along the lines of hate crimes? Is once you investigate it and you find out, okay, this result was because of road rage?
Yeah, certainly I think that is something that should be discussed and something that should be considered. And I haven't done the research yet, but I'd be really interested to see if other states have added that as an enhancement, because I think that might be an appropriate way to address these types of situations.
Road rage enhancements, Deb. That might be one of the solutions.
It very well may be.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City.
It's 10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour, 300 East between 800 South and 900 South in Salt Lake City is closed due to a water main break. Chloe Maroney with the Salt Lake City Public Utilities Department says the main was providing water to a senior housing facility nearby.
So we're thinking that we'll be able to have that senior housing complex up and running again by sometime this afternoon. It'll take a couple of weeks to do the road repair.
Maroney says while they can't know for sure why the water main broke, it's likely because it was one of the older mains. The National Weather Service is canceling its last remaining flood advisory and warning in the state. The Sevier River no longer on a flood watch, and officials say it marks the end of a 40-day stretch of flood-related advisories. Officials say our high-elevation runoff will continue, but widespread flooding should mostly be in the rearview mirror now. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 people died, 5 people were hurt in a shooting at a high school graduation in Richmond, Virginia yesterday. Police have a 19-year-old suspect in custody. Richmond Interim Police Chief Rick Edwards has an update on the injured victims.
That life-threatening status has been downgraded to non-life-threatening. So the 5 remaining victims are now in non-life-threatening condition, thankfully.
And officers say the shooter knew one of the victims. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 16 points on the day so far, but the NASDAQ dropping a little more dramatically, down 91 points right now. And our KSL weather, looks like we could get a little more rain in addition to the afternoon thunderstorms today. That's next. KSL News Time 10:02.
Start your days with knowledgeable, friendly voices telling you about the latest news and weather out there.
Hi, this is Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon
In the business of waking you up each morning from 5 to 9.
on KSL News Radio.
As you near retirement, there's a lot you need to know about how your money will be taxed. How will it be taxed today? How might it be taxed when you're retired? Utah's retirement specialists, Capital Wealth Advisors, have a complimentary report called Tax Strategies for Retirement. See the updated tax brackets and current itemized deductions, as well as strategies to potentially lower your tax bill in the future, and much more. Call 801-210-5500 or go to retireutah.com to receive this complimentary report. That's 801-210-5500 or go to retireutah.com. Take charge of your taxes today to help you keep more of the money you've earned. Get tax strategies for retirement from Capital Wealth Advisors by calling 801-210-5500 or visiting retireutah.com. Firm offers insurance services but may not give tax advice. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Incredible
machines
featuring 60 months, no interest on certain models.
But this financing offer is only good through June 12th.
The new Bernina 770 QE Plus CAFE machine is in stock and specially priced.
Come in and check out the special edition 475 CAFE machine. It is discounted along with the Bernina 435.
Amazing bargains on previously owned machines while they last that come with warranties.
Starting at $399.
Hurry in to Dave's Bernina, 691 East St. George Boulevard and 2017 North 550 West in Provo. Follow us on Facebook.
At aimyourdigital.com, we'll help you target the right audience, build your leads, and crush your quota. Take your business to the next level. Our digital marketing strategies help grow awareness of your product or service, all while building trust in your business. Our approach involves leveraging multiple tools and strategies to deliver exceptional results that are customized to your unique business needs. Don't wait to run out of sales leads. Keep your business growing. Get started with aimyourdigital.com today.
I've worked hard to get where I am. I don't cut corners. I see opportunity and make the most of it. And I'm celebrating that success in style by heading to Jerry Seiner Cadillac to get the car I've been working for. They have new XT4, 5, and 6 models in stock and the area's largest selection of certified pre-owned vehicles. I've put in the work and I've earned the luxury that only comes with a Cadillac. If you have too, then it's time to visit Jerry Seiner and experience the Seiner difference.
Advanced Window Products. Affordable windows from their factory to your front door in 8 weeks. Guaranteed. 801-850-9100 or advancedwindowsusa.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union, helping members since 1935. Here's Heather Kelly.
The earlier crash we had northbound I-15 in Midvale has cleared, but as you continue north, there's another crash right near the on-ramp from the I-215 South Interchange in Murray. It's over on the right shoulder. Traffic still a little bit slow in that area. Then the only thing else drivers have to contend with are construction barrels. Got road work happening on US 89 in Layton, US 40 out by Jordanelle Reservoir in Wasatch County, and utility work happening on State Street in downtown Salt Lake. 2 right lanes are blocked southbound near 1300 South. Cedar City, where summer meets adventure. Enjoy live entertainment with the Shakespeare Festival, shopping, dining, museums, hiking, biking, disc golf, and camping under the starry sky. Level up your adventure. Visit cedarcity.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy through the day with a chance of thunderstorms again this afternoon. We have a cooling trend with temperatures in the 80s this week, the 70s next week. And right now, 69 degrees, partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Summer water safety. Special coverage with David Dujanovic.
Usually when we talk about summer water safety, and we will be in depth tomorrow up in the Ogden area talking about water safety because we've already had so many incidents. People without life jackets, people who've drowned. This one is a little unusual in that it was just a set of unfortunate circumstances that led up to this 12-year-old girl who had to be pulled from a reservoir in Tooele over the weekend during this frantic rescue. And if you do not believe in the power of the universe putting you at the right place at the right time to save a life, you will after you hear the rest of this story.
Just barely got my poles out, maybe 10 minutes, and heard a splash and a bunch of commotion. It was pretty frantic for a few minutes. It was a do-or-die situation, you know, so it wasn't a situation where you could just sit there and think about it. You just had to get down and get dirty.
A car, Dave, had tumbled into Settlement Canyon Reservoir in Tooele, a place that I've never been. And in a moment, we're going to speak to a corporal with the City of Tooele Police Department who will walk us through this harrowing rescue of a 12-year-old girl. That was, I think, a fisherman. This was a fisherman.
Got my poles out, maybe 10 minutes, and heard a splash.
Happened to be in the area, but believe it or not,
pretty frantic for a few minutes. It was a do-or-die situation.
By sheer good fortune, police happened to also be in an area of this Settlement Canyon Reservoir, a place they don't often patrol, and they were able to pull this little girl out of this submerged car. Are you there, Corporal?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Corporal Colby Bentley with the Tooele Police Department. Thanks for calling in this morning. It was great to talk to you yesterday afternoon, and after we discussed this story, I just think our listeners need to hear so much more about it. So walk us through how this car ended up in a reservoir and how many people were in it, and then what transpired from there.
Yeah, so just a little after 2 p.m. this past weekend on Saturday, our officers are up at the Settlement Canyon Reservoir checking the water level for flood watch. I know much of Utah is in the same situation. This is something our officers have been asked to do to help keep watch over the city, but not something that we're doing frequently throughout the day. While they're up there, dispatch gets a call that a vehicle had just went into the Settlement Canyon Reservoir, which is now completely full, and that the vehicle is actively sinking. Just by happenstance, again, we had 2 officers up there checking the water levels. They were on a different part of the reservoir when this happened, but some bystanders there had notified our officers of what had happened. And very quickly, our officers were able to respond over to where the vehicle had just went down. So as soon as the vehicle goes down, which is completely submerged at this point, our officers are able to jump into the water and are able to start searching for the vehicle, which isn't very visible from the surface of the lake. They are able to get down there. They're trying to break windows open. They're trying to open doors. But as many people know, when we have a submerged vehicle, it's hard to break a window. It's hard to open a door. It just doesn't happen, which is why these situations can become so dangerous. It gets to a point where officers realize that there's still one person stuck inside. There were 2 people that were able to get out, but there's still one person stuck inside, and that vehicle's full of water. It's a 12-year-old girl that's stuck inside, and they, realizing the life and death situation that's going on, have to make a tough situation, and they end up shooting a window to the vehicle, and right after are able to gain access to the vehicle. You can't see more than about 2 inches in front of your face down there. And an officer swimming around down in the van feels an arm and is able to pull the 12-year-old girl out. And she'd been in there long enough where she wasn't conscious, she wasn't breathing. Officers get her out of the water, get her up onto shore, start CPR, and just soon after that, she gets a pulse. She's still unconscious, but medical services get there. They transport her to a local hospital and then later transport her to a Salt Lake hospital and are able to get her conscious and in good condition.
The vehicle is completely submerged. They shoot the window out with their service weapons. Did they fire the gun underwater?
Yes.
First of all, didn't know that was a thing. That's incredible.
You know, in situations like that, you've got to use some outside-the-box thinking, and that's what we train our officers to do, and they did just that.
That is incredible. So was she in the back seat, the front seat, and did they just – I mean, obviously they couldn't see very well.
Yeah, and to be honest, we're not even exactly what seat she was exactly in because, again, we can't see anything down there.
Right.
So officers just swimming around in there, holding their breath as long as they can, feel an arm, and just pull her out. So, again, it's dark enough down there, we don't even know exactly what spot she was in.
You're listening to just a very amazing story from the Tooele City Police Department. That's Corporal Colby Bentley on the line with us right now. A 12-year-old girl was rescued from a submerged van that had tumbled into Settlement Canyon Reservoir, which he just said was completely full. 2 officers happened to be in the area just as a service to the city, checking the levels of the reservoir to make sure things weren't going over their banks and everything was, because a lot of communities have been under flood watch, and happened to be there when this van went into the water and were able to rescue this girl who is now doing much better and improving. Do you know yet, Corporal, what led to this van sliding into the water?
Everything we're seeing right now, talking to witnesses and whatnot, we're seeing this as just a complete accident. It's a popular spot to go up, especially over the weekend. Summer's just started up. When this family was getting ready to leave, it had just started to rain pretty heavily. So they're overlooking the reservoir, kind of a parking area where you can park, and the vehicle ends up not being in park, whereas the driver thought it was. And it's just a true accident. We're not looking at the fault of anybody. It's just accidents happen, and this is what this situation was, and it's an unfortunate one that usually doesn't end well. But we're in a situation where it ended up about as good as we could hoped.
And I guess how deep was this submerged? Was it completely submerged?
Yes, completely submerged. So it was about 10 to 11 feet. Deep in that spot. It drops off pretty quickly. So after the girl was pulled out of the car and was transported to a hospital, we had an officer standing on top of the van and it was still about 2 to 3 feet underwater. So you're looking at about 10 to 11 feet overall.
And it's still there?
No, they've since pulled it out. We had to get a heavy tow unit out there, and they were able to pull it out, but it took a couple hours.
How are the police officers doing?
They're great. Again, we have amazing police officers out here in Tooele City. It's a situation that would shake anyone up, but they're doing great. I mean, it's a crazy story, and one that I'm sure they'll look back over their career and be proud to tell.
Well, we appreciate you joining us and telling us that harrowing story. What an incredible story, Corporal Bentley with the Tooele Police Department.
Like I said in the beginning, if you do not believe in the power of the universe putting you at the right place at the right time,
they just happen to be at the reservoir.
To listen to this story to believe in that. A little girl, 12 years old, doing much better, improving after being stuck inside a van that was completely submerged in water, to the point 2 police officers happened to be at Settlement Canyon Reservoir, kind of patrolling that area, just staying on flood watch when that van went under accidentally, and they were able to shoot out the windows
underwater
and pull her to safety
and revive her. Wow. What a spectacular story.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Hey, stay right here for more of Dave and Dujanovic.
And tomorrow morning, come back here for news, traffic updates, and reliable weather.
Join us to have a listen. Tim and Amanda.
Your morning companions for news.
Right on cue for summer.
OPEC plans to cut oil production.
Gas prices are headed up.
It could drive up prices for other goods.
Whether you're planning a staycation or a day trip, start your summer here. Get updates on traffic out of town, gas prices, and everything you need to know. Listen each day this summer, mornings and afternoons, to KSL News Radio.
Martin's Collision Repair.
50,000 cars repaired and counting. Just check Martin's 5-star online reviews.
Juliana posted, they were incredibly polite. They kept me updated on the status of the repairs. Outstanding service, really good quality.
Hi, I'm Tiago Martins. Check Martins' Facebook page or martinscollision.com for your 5-star Martins experience. On State Street in Norham and in Salem, we work with all insurance companies.
The right repair, the right paint, the right choice. Martin's Collision Repair.
Hey, summer's here, and it's only getting hotter. Get 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for a year on a new day and night air conditioning system.
Don't put it off. Summer is here, and it's hot. Have a new day and night air conditioner and furnace system installed with 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 12 months. Enjoy savings and a cool, comfortable home for a full year before you even have to make a payment. Go to dayandnightcomfort.com for a day and night elite dealer near you. The difference is day and night.
It doesn't get better than summer camping in Utah, and it doesn't get any bigger than the Utah Summer RV Palooza, presented by Bish's RV. We're bringing the biggest RV show in the region to Layton, June 8th through the 10th, for 3 days only. The Layton Hills Mall is where you'll find a massive selection of top RV brands like Go Play, Ember RV, Forest River, Northwood, and a whole lot more. Get up to 20% below cost on select new 2022 RVs, and get 90 days no payments on approved credit for all play and no pay till September OAC. Summer RV Palooza is where you'll find a brand new 26 BH travel trailer. It's high quality at an undeniable value at a sale price of only $19,995. The selection is huge, and so are the trade-in offers. Get max value for your current RV when you trade in at the show. Shop the Summer RV Palooza now at bishes.com/Utah RV Palooza. 3 days only, June 8th through the 10th at the Layton Hills Mall. Sponsored by Bish's RV.
Your taxes are going up, and these higher taxes could be devastating for your retirement savings. Don't be a sitting duck. Learn how you could reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions in Salt Lake, a 3-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. If you've saved at least $200,000 for retirement, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-682-4448. This free, customized analysis could save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes when you retire. But time is running out, so don't wait. To get your free analysis, call 801-682-4448. 801-682-4448. 4448.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Who will dare to find a new way to think about energy? One that connects our lives like never before and creates a world where we can breathe easy. NewScale dared by making 24/7 carbon-free energy a reality with our Voyager SMR power plants. Let's see how bright the future can be when cleaner, safer energy is available to all. NewScale. Power to the world. Power for all humankind. Discover the future of energy at newscalepower.com.
Whoever just hit those brakes hard for no reason was definitely not you. Eric never brakes randomly on the highway, Rubino, because you are a safe driver. Unlike most drivers who sign up for Snapshot from Progressive, which customizes your rate for how and how much you drive, you could earn a discount for your good driving. So keep on being you. Eric never brakes randomly on the highway, Rubino, and we'll keep on delivering the discounts. Sign up for Snapshot today.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Snapshot not available in all states or from all agents.
Text us here in the studio about the weather in your area. The Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line is 57500.
With the three things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, a senior housing complex is without water right now because of a water main break on 300 East. Second, a flood advisory in southern Utah that's been in place for weeks is finally ending. Third, police in Richmond, Virginia are providing more information now on a shooting at a high school graduation yesterday. Right now, 69 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Flood Watch, special coverage on KSL News Radio.
I just had to play that because I think that's the last time we have to listen to that Flood Watch. Because this morning, the National Weather Service alerted us that they'd canceled their last remaining advisory and warning for flooding at the Sevier River in Hatch. And since we all know where Hatch is, I'm just going to leave it at that.
I have no idea where Hatch is.
It's in Garfield County. Does that help?
Yeah, that doesn't help. I know where Davis County is, Salt Lake,
It's the end of a 40-day stretch of continuous watches, warnings, and advisory from the National Weather Service.
This is incredible to me on several levels. Number one, I couldn't help but, when this crazy snow year was happening, I couldn't help but think, just wait till the runoff. We're going to have 1983 all over again. We're going to be kayaking down Main Street. It's going to be amazing, right? That is the visual I had. I was 8
worried
years
people
old.
were going to be losing their homes.
Oh, there was going to be, obviously, there was going to be something. And you and I, it did feel like we were coming in every single day, eyes wide open. Like, is today the day? Is today the day where a home gets destroyed or somebody gets what? And it just really never happened. There were a few instances of flooding, but largely it was really smooth for such a historic snow year.
KSL meteorologist Kevin Eubank. I hope this means that Dave and I don't have to sit here and try to interpret the river flow tracker and all of the charts and graphs that you smarty pants look at every single day to tell us where things are at. So are we out of the woods?
Well, this is a really good sign, and what it means is the majority of the state, the area, are out of the woods. But localized flooding is definitely still possible. And we still could be talking about a river that leaves its banks and floods out a park or a neighborhood or even a home. So we're not totally out of the woods, but all things considering, for having the historic snowpack that we had and the potential for just a catastrophic melt, it just couldn't have happened any better. I mean, every single part of this, not only from the temperatures to the amount of precipitation that we received or the lack thereof, and the rate at which the snow melt happened, it was as historic as the snow that got us here in the first place.
Were there any lessons that we learned this year? I know we learned a lot from 1983 and the flooding and the preparations we made. Did we learn anything this year where we said, oh, you know what? This is something that we can take into the future?
Yeah, I think so, Dave. I think, truth be told, I think collective vigilance is how we got through this. A lot of people keeping an eye on the rivers because the municipalities and the counties and the state, they can't do it all. So having a lot of people being aware of the situation and proactively preparing for that situation, had we not put sandbags where we put sandbags and built sand walls where we had sand walls, there would have been more damage. And then the other part of that collective awareness is the truth of the matter is we had mitigation efforts in place where they had staged equipment, they were cleaning debris, crews were going down the creeks before the runoff came to get the branches and the trees and the stumps and everything else out. There were a lot of efforts, millions and millions and millions of dollars spent in clearing the waterways so that it could handle it. Now, we all know we cannot control Mother Nature, and Mother Nature was on our side this time. Had it been something different, where we warmed into the 90s early in May and we stayed that hot, we would have had catastrophic flooding. There's really no mitigation or even no infrastructure that you could have put in place to have avoided that with this kind of snowpack. So we were at the mercy of Mother Nature, but the preparation we did and the combination of how it all melted off, it turned out in our favor this time.
Kevin Eubank, KSL meteorologist, joining us once again because we got word just about 30 minutes ago that the National Weather Service was canceled their last remaining flood advisory and warning for the Sevier River and the areas surrounding that, and that just struck us as great news. But, of course, as always, Kevin being vigilant and just reminding us that there might be some localized, some spot flooding. I think this was a big win for technology, and I'm normally not a huge champ of technology, but I'll tell you why. First of all, getting information to the people who need it when somebody saw something was awry on a riverbank or there was a log sticking out of a drainage pipe that shouldn't be. It's much faster than it was in 1983 when we didn't have email, when we didn't have cell phones, when we didn't have websites to communicate. We also had the state install those river trackers, those video cameras that you could actually log on to a site and watch. And I did many times at the middle of the night, Kevin, just to see where rivers were at. And I thought that's genius. But all thanks to, again, to technology. We can do that.
Yeah, it really has been tremendous, and a lot of lessons learned from previous years that vigilance pays off, because if you see a problem, you can quickly scramble to that problem, and that helps avoid a bigger problem. And so really, we love the water. We so asked for this. We so wanted the snow, and now the good runoff. We've replenished the reservoirs, and we need more. And dare I say, we need this another 1, 2, 3 more years, because we've got huge reservoirs to fill, like Lake Powell and others. And so I hope the pattern continues. I hope that we're able to take the lessons we learned in 2023 and apply them moving forward. Technology and preparation and all those other good things. But it is always nice, not a sigh of relief, but kind of that you kind of relax just a little bit, knowing that the big snow has come down. I was looking at some of the numbers, and up in Little Cottonwood Canyon, there's still 2 feet of water up at Snowbird, 24 inches of water in the snowpack, almost 4 feet still up there. But that can all come down through that creek without incident. Even if you warm up, it can still come down. We have capacity. So it's kind of cool to be sitting at the, here in June going, we did it. And we still can handle what's still got to come down. And that's why those warnings were released or were allowed to expire, is just because now the amount of water up there matches the capacity we have to take it, and you can kind of stand down just a little bit.
Kevin Eubank is joining us right now. You mentioned the reservoirs. I know they were emptying those as quickly as possible to make sure there was enough capacity. I always worried. I thought, man, I hope they timed this right so that when it's time to fill these bad boys up, that they actually do get filled up. How are we looking?
We're looking really, really good. So a lot of the small reservoirs across the state are totally full. Medium reservoirs also, they're filled, and they've got the management. Those reservoirs that can be managed have been managed very, very well. Some of the bigger reservoirs, Flaming Gorge, Lake Powell, those are going to be multi-year fills, so there's no real worry about what goes into those. But, the Willard Bays and the Utah Lakes and the Pine Views and the Deer Creeks, Jordanelle, those are all meant to be managed. And so as long as you can manage the flow coming in and do that, we're in a real good shape. And we really do have incredible water supply right now. And we've had enough extra to be able to go and say, all right, where are we going to put that? And the Great Salt Lake has been a wonderful place to deposit that water. And I hope we get multiple years so we can completely put that reservoir or that lake back to its glory and allow the ecosystems to start to rebuild. Again, it's all about water's the key. You have to have water. But then you have to have really good management and really good stewardship. And I'm going to take my moment on the soapbox. We're in a desert. Please conserve this year. I know the temptation is, hey, I'm Dave, and I've got more water than I know what to do with, and I'm going to water every single day, all day long, because that's what Dave does. I want you guys to know conservation is not just to do in times of drought. It's really a mentality. It's a mind shift. And so even with this water, that we need to be good stewards of that water. And so don't waste it. It's fine to use it, but definitely don't waste it.
Every brown patch I have this year, I'm going to snap a photo and send it to your personal cell phone.
I can't wait. And then I'm going to call your mother and find out why you don't know why Hatch or where Hatch is in the state of Utah, Dave.
I've only lived here 47 years.
And she's a teacher. Come on.
Kevin Eubank, KSL meteorologist. I know you're going to be back with us tomorrow as we are on Summer Safety Watch. Keeping families safe around water. You've been talking to us about lightning, and I'm always curious about lightning, like how far away, and if I see it, do I need to get out of the water, or what? Those types of warnings and the information that our families need to stay safe. So, Kev, thank you. And Kev, also on a personal note, I'll just take Dave out of this because I know how he feels about you, and I know how you feel about him. I just want to say thank you, Kevin Eubank. You have literally been with us every step of the way. You never say no to one of our text messages at the wee hours of the morning asking you to join the show. And you have been right and spot on every minute of this. You really have. And you've kept my mind at ease the whole time. So thank you.
Well, you're kind. It's a great place to live. We live in a great state, great people. I appreciate listening to you guys every morning, too. So collective efforts make good results. It's been a good year. So thanks.
Okay.
I hate how right you've been. It bothers me.
Tune in tomorrow for the Kevin and Debbie show.
It's 10:31 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour. We're still gathering information about an officer-involved shooting that left one person dead and a police officer hospitalized. Authorities in Ogden say this happened after the suspect violated a protective order. Kimmy Wolf with the Utah Domestic Violence Coalition tells Dave and Dujanovic a protective order is the same thing as a restraining order.
Protection orders they're legal interventions designed to reduce future threat or harm by a person who's determined to pose a threat to another person. They are a tool for victims of domestic violence.
Kimmy says violating a protective order by itself is a crime. An NCAA football video game hitting some roadblocks over paying players. The Supreme Court ruled companies need to compensate players who use their name, image, and likeness. Players included in the game set to get $500 to be included. Some more prominent players, though, are holding off, saying they need more cash to let the game use their image. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Pope Francis has gone to the hospital for intestinal surgery in Rome. ABC's Marcus Moore tells us how long the pontiff could be out of commission.
We don't know at this point. The Vatican is very secretive and very close with information about the Pope. We do understand from the Vatican he will require several days of treatment following his operation. So at least through the end of the week, we presume that he will be in the hospital, and then perhaps it will take some time after that for him to recover fully. But as we saw during Easter, he was very quickly back to his very many extensive duties as Pope.
ABC's Marcus Moore reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up now, about 75 points on the day so far. The NASDAQ having a steep drop to begin the trading day, 118 points down right now. The S&P 500 down 10. And our KSL weather. Looks like we're back in the pattern with the thunderstorms in the afternoon. That's next. KSL News Time, 10:33.
This summer, the political season heats up.
By August, it'll be time for debates. Can you believe it?
We're planning coverage of the real issues, the important stories that impact how we live.
Listen each morning from 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
Everything's changing so fast these days, and that's a great thing. Back in my day, we were lucky to get one video to load on a desktop computer, but now there's the Xfinity 10G network. That means the fastest internet with faster speeds rolling out every day and internet that can power a house full of devices with ultra-low lag. So while one person streams a movie from their room, another can play video games in the basement while another TikToks in the kitchen. It's the next generation 10G network only from Xfinity. The future starts now. Through July 21st, new customers can get started with gig internet on the Xfinity 10G network. Plus, get X-Fi Complete with unlimited data and Wi-Fi equipment included, all for just $30 a month for 2 years with no annual contract when you add Xfinity Mobile with unlimited data. Go to Xfinity.com/10G, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless billing and auto pay with stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity Internet. After promo, regular rates apply to internet service and devices. Gig Wi-Fi requires gig internet and X-Fi Gateway. Actual speeds vary.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
Hi, I'm Jay Broadbent with Alpine Home Medical, and I wanted to let you know what you can expect when you walk into one of our 10, soon to be 11 stores. This story came to us from one of our many 5-star Google reviews.
I was panicked and needed help. My daughter had a serious family emergency and I needed to travel out of town, but I couldn't haul my oxygen tanks with me. I needed portable oxygen. I tried several companies and they all said I didn't have a prescription. I went to Alpine and they called my doctor. 20 minutes later, I was on my way with a portable oxygen machine.
At Alpine Home Medical, we understand how urgent your healthcare needs can be. We'll do everything we can to exceed your expectations. Let us help you bring wellness home. Visit us online at alpinehomemedical.com. That's alpinehomemedical.com.
Alpine Home Medical, we bring wellness home.
alpinehomemedical.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Granite Credit Union, helping members since 1935. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, there are no delays right now across the Wasatch Front on the major freeways, but we do have a minor fender bender on I-215. That's heading southbound right around 3500 south in the West Valley area right near the Maverick Center. Other than that, you've got good speeds and no other accidents reported on city streets, so everybody should hopefully be playing nice with each other. Fill up your bucket list in Box Elder County. History, recreation, and wildlife, along with excellent dining and shopping, await you. Find out more at visitboxeldercounty.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy through the day with a chance of thunderstorms again this afternoon. And there's a cooling trend with temperatures in the 80s this week, 70s next week. Right now, it's 71 degrees with mostly cloudy skies at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Priced Out, inflation, special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
I had a very important aha moment last night on my sofa while researching financial information. And I'm going to prove it to you in just a moment with some math that I did. And I know that's a little scary, but trust me, I'm going to crunch the numbers. I'm going to prove it to you. While raising you, Dave, and all, your parents were always much better off financially than you are today in your 40s or in your 30s.
No way.
Than you are now or may ever be. Trust me when I tell you, in a moment, I'm going to crunch the numbers to prove it to you. And I want, as my friend and as my coworker, I want you to help me walk through kind of how to get over this realization that I had. But when I say that out loud, like, your parents were way better off than you were. And I'm going to prove it to you. What is your gut reaction to that?
I would think I'm far better off
Really?
than my parents were financially.
Why?
I guess just looking, I know how much they made. I know how much I make.
So you're just looking at apples to apples.
Yeah.
Salary to salary.
And I realize there's an inflation component to it, but I still think I'm doing better.
When I realized this, when I started doing the math on this, calculating, somebody's salary in 1970 was a $30,000 a year annual salary compared to, what it is today. It was mind-boggling, and it also gave me a sense of relief and almost like forgiveness for myself for not being able to always keep up with the Joneses. And I think a lot
of the Dujanovic's. It's hard to keep up with the Dujanovic's.
But I think a lot of our culture expects that future generations will be able to keep up with the Joneses or the Dujanovic's. and it's just financially, for a lot of people, it is not possible.
I think the assumption is that we will just naturally be better off than our parents, because that is the goal. I want my kids to be better than me. I know my parents wanted me to be better off than them. So I guess I assumed that that's what was happening. And you're saying, not so fast, my friend.
So let me do this calculator that I found. I found several of them online. This one is saving.org. And it is basically an inflation calculator for annual salaries. And I think what this did for me was explain why I feel like I have been sort of running on clouds, not cloud nine, dark clouds. Trying to keep up or sort of trying to prove to myself that I can keep up. But first, before I get to that saving calculator, here's the video that I saw while doom scrolling TikTok that really put me on this path to try to figure it out.
It's absolutely mind-boggling when you have to explain inflation to somebody who's older than you, right? When, because say you're making $40,000 a year today, right? And you go talk to some boomer and they find out you're making $40,000. They'll say something like, "Oh, I was making $40,000 a year back in 1970. And I could buy a house in a second lake house." Well, you want to know what $40,000 in 1970 is the equivalent of today? $100,000. Are you confused? That's because I lied. It's $250,000. Are you confused? It's because I lied again. It's $310,000. If you made $40,000 in 1970, it was like making $310,000 today.
What?
That's because the cost of things and the cost of inflation. So I fact-checked that video, and I went to this calculator, saving.org. And like I said, there's a lot of them. And I started putting in, you can put in like your annual salary, pretend like you were working in 1970. Let's say it was $30,000 a year. And then they will give you the equivalent to what it is today. So $30,000 in 1970, the equivalent today is almost $240,000. So if your parents were earning $30,000 today, in 1970 when they were raising you, I ask you, are you earning $250,000 today?
No, nowhere near. Yeah.
If you, let's say, oh, my parents weren't making that much, maybe they were earning $20,000 in 1970.
Cut it in half.
That is the equivalent of almost $60,000 today. And think back to the 70s. So often, if you drove down a 1970s street, one parent was home.
Yeah.
The full time, raising the kiddos, while the other parent was out trying to, get a career going. $40,000 in 1980, things start to change. not worth, the $300,000 over plus salary now that, from 1970, but $40,000 in 1980 would be the equivalent of $154,000 today.
So inflation in
Yes.
a decade basically cut it in half.
Yeah.
Wow. So that spending potential, and just to be clear, Debbie, because these numbers sounded a little crazy and that your original source was TikTok and your second source was like saving.ed or org or com or something, I went to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics.
Oh, okay. Like a legit
the
little
government
fact
website.
check machine. Okay.
I'll be darned, you're dead on. You are spot on.
Did you know any of this?
No, that was staggering. Because
I didn't either, Dave.
We used to chuckle, and I think our kids will probably do the same thing. My parents bought their first home, the home that my mom still lives in. We never moved. She's been there for almost 50 years, but she bought it for $36,000.
That was my next point. So after I finished realizing that salaries are so out of whack compared to what they were in the 70s and 80s when a lot of us were being raised, I went to the home pricing chart. And in the 1970s, you could get a home, average price was $23,000 for a home, which was under, in many cases, somebody's annual salary. But if you fast forward to today, and this is across America, this isn't Utah specific. In Utah, we know we've been dealing with $500,000 mansions, not even, right? Tiny homes for $500,000. In 2022, the average price of a home in America was $454,000. You tell me who was earning more than that. So the shift in home prices alone has saddled us with incomes that haven't kept up and home prices that are out of control. And I haven't even scratched the car. I haven't even scratched the surface of what the cost of a car was. So I want to walk through with you and our listeners. Do you feel like we're better off than our parents? Are you better off than your mom and dad? 801-575-TALK, 801-575-TALK. We'll be taking your live phone calls, and I'm looking forward to Dave's dad advice. I want you to use it on me. Like, how do I get over the sort of the heartburn that this created?
That I'll never make as much as my parents?
It's a reality, right? I just did the numbers for you.
It's a tough pill to swallow.
801-575-TALK. Help us swallow that pill next.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Did you know Utah has just one all-news station in the morning?
It's this one. Weekday mornings between 5 and 9.
Start your days with us. We're Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Your morning companions for news.
Your taxes are going up, and these higher taxes could be devastating for your retirement savings. Don't be a sitting duck. Learn how you could reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions in Salt Lake, a 3-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. If you've saved at least $200,000 for retirement, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-682-4448. This free, customized analysis could save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes when you retire. But time is running out, so don't wait. To get your free analysis, call 801-682-4448. 801-682-4448.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an annoyance. The last thing I want you to experience is a sewer backup. If you're a homeowner experiencing any of these issues, the first step would be to snake the line to see if it's just a blockage, which one of our drain techs can do for only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
I'm Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I learned about atrial fibrillation the hard way. My symptoms would come and go: shortness of breath, fatigue. I kept going. Then I got so lightheaded, I couldn't. My doctor said I have AFib, so I'm about 5 times more likely to have a stroke. Other symptoms: irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain can come and go, but the risk of stroke stays. If you have symptoms, tell a doctor. Visit notimetowait.com.
Sponsored by Bristol-Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Take a break from financial worries. Meet the Mountain America debt consolidation expert for a chance to win a vacation package. Details at macu.com/debt rescue.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, flood warnings have been canceled for some areas of the state that have been in place for weeks. Second, a water main break cut off service to a senior housing complex in Salt Lake City this morning. Third, Pope Francis has gone to a hospital in Rome for surgery. The Vatican isn't saying just how long he'll have to stay there. Right now, 73 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Priced out, inflation, special coverage with Dave and Dujanovic.
I had an aha moment last night on my sofa while researching financial information. It's all sparked because I was watching a video on Dave's favorite social media platform, TikTok, and here's what I saw. And then I went down the rabbit hole and started calculating the numbers myself.
Well, you want to know what $40,000 in 1970 is the equivalent of today? $100,000. Are you confused? That's because I lied. It's $250,000. Are you confused? It's because I lied again. It's $310,000. If you made $40,000 in 1970, it was like making $310,000 today.
In my personal calculations on an online savings calculator, or online inflation calculator for salaries, I should say, bared that out.
We're taking your phone calls right now. Is that as shocking to you as it was to me? I thought there was no way my parents were doing better than me right now. But, Debbie, your math works, at least according to the online calculators. Corey in Bountiful. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, I'm glad that you guys are talking about this because I just turned 50 this year, and I've been telling my boys, I have 3 boys at home, and my mom was a housewife. The only reason why she went to work was because she was bored when we started getting older, got our driver's license. My dad was a machinist and worked a lot, but we were camping, we were fishing, we were doing a lot of things that now it's like me and my wife have jobs, and she just graduated with her master's degree, but I mean it's just we're real, it's we're doing okay, but we could be doing a lot better because of the economy. But I worry about my boys and
Bingo.
the future generations.
Bingo. Corey, thanks for your phone call and sharing your story with us. This hit me because these online calculators, as you start looking at the math, for example, if your parents were making $30,000 a year combined, maybe one parent was a stay-at-home parent, in 1970, that is the equivalent of earning $236,000 a year today. How many of us are earning almost $250,000 a year compared to how many of our parents were earning $30,000 a year in the 70s? And it gave me heartburn. It made me sad. And it was a realization to me that this is why it's so hard to, first of all, compare ourselves, but also to try to keep up with the Joneses.
Well, it also shows you the danger of inflation. So the inflation we've been battling the last couple of years, we need to take it far more seriously because you can see how it has eroded the buying power. Randy in Grantsville. Randy, what do you think?
Hi, Randy.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. Looking at the bigger picture, I think this is just another example of why we need to change the discussion with our children and with our families about what the future holds and how the economy works and entrepreneurship and business and being proactive. No one's coming to save us. We have to adjust and adapt. I think it's time.
Yeah, no one's coming to save us, Gary. Randy. That's a great way of putting it. You got to. In fact, when you talk about that, you like wonder how you can control things. I look at the housing market and the exponential growth in the price of housings. If you look at back in the 1980s, the average price of a home in 1980 was $65,000. In 1970, 10 years earlier, was $23,000. What's the cost of a home? Where are you going to find a $23,000 home today?
Well, we did this story yesterday as we were talking about Sandy City and their property taxes. And the average home in Sandy City is $628,000. 4 years ago, it was $380,000.
More phone calls, 801-575-TALK. And Dave, as you bring on the next caller, let me just talk about the car real fast. In 1970, the average new car, $3,500. Price of a gallon of gas was 36 cents.
Oh, man.
Puts in perspective, right? It just gives us a lot of perspective about what we're dealing with and what we're up against today.
Gary in Syracuse. Gary, what do you think?
I think that this is really an important subject, that inflation is a real thing. But I think you're saying, are we better off than our parents? I look back at my parents, and in the 1970s, $10,000 was a huge wage, was a big wage.
Mm-hmm.
School teachers, I remember when I was in high school, were making around $5,000 a year. You talk about $20,000 and $30,000 wages. Those were huge in 1970, and most of our parents weren't making that much money.
Good point.
Nowhere near it. So I think that, it's true, and it's something we need to really consider, but maybe we are at least as well off or better off than our parents.
Well, I did the calculation, Gary, for $20,000 in 1970, and it was equivalent to $157,000 a year today. And what they didn't have in 1970 were, in many cases, $500,000 homes and $80,000 new vehicles. And they also didn't have the amount of credit card lines of credit that were available to them. You could not go into a Kmart in 1970 and in a flash have a $1,000 credit limit on a credit card with a 10% one-off discount if you open that credit line today. Things were so different back then, but yet we also don't stop ourselves from opening up those credit cards. I've been in line behind a lot of folks who are, and I've done it myself, right? So the landscape is so different. We've also allowed it, in a lot of cases, to creep into our homes.
But I think Gary hit on to something. We assumed that everyone made $30,000 or $20,000. I know what you're saying, but the 1970s was a long, long time ago. That's 55 or so years ago.
But a lot of our parents were alive then, and that's what the comparison is.
But they were, I hadn't thought about that, but a school teacher's salary, if they were making, $5,000-$7,000, then all of a sudden it has grown exponentially, but it has grown consistently. So final call, Larry, South Jordan. Larry, what do you think?
I can remember when gas was 12 cents back in the early 50s, 12 cents a gallon. My neighbor got a raise in 1967 at Kennecott to $5 an hour. We thought that was unfathomable. And I went into Reams by Hillcrest High School, the old Reams store, and bought 3 shopping carts for $34, chuck full. And Dave, water your lawn. It's It's just a matter of control. The water, it's just going to evaporate anyway in the lakes and the reservoirs. So use it while you can. Use it or lose it.
So thanks for your phone call. So just back to my original reason for wanting to talk about this, Dave, is, how you came out of the gates on this and said, I feel like I'm better off than my parents. And then when I started doing the math and I explained to you, you're probably not financially better off than your parents. How do you cope? How do you cope with that reality when it smacks you in the face like that?
I don't really care about me per se because I'm happy. I love my life, but I guess I worry more about my children.
Yeah.
Right? Because
there you go.
I think most parents just want their kids to be more successful. They want them to make more money and to be better off. You think that you're trying to give them a springboard into a better life financially and have everything you could possibly want. So I think what takes me back is where I start thinking about my children and to think, wow, their starting salary has to be what to buy a home? It's got to be over $100,000 to be able to afford a home. That's what's sobering to me.
KSL FM Midvale, KSL Salt Lake City. Listen on the KSL News Radio app and in your car at 102.7 FM. KSL News Radio, your all-day companion for news.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top story this hour. Utah's Department of Health and Human Services has an unwelcome message for almost 6,000 Utahns after they sent letters to the wrong people. KSL News Radio's Peter Johnston has more details.
The DHHS will notify the affected people today about what data was on the letters, plus what actions affected Utahns can take to keep their accounts secure. Every letter contains some personal data, like addresses and birth dates, while about 200 of these letters had much more private information, like social security numbers.
Going forward, a department spokesperson says DHHS will conduct mailing tests before sending letters with benefits information. 300 East between 800 South and 900 South in Salt Lake City will be closed for a couple of weeks to repair damage caused by a water main break. The main was providing water to a senior housing facility on 800 East. They hope to have the water back on this afternoon. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. 2 people died, 5 were hurt in a shooting at a high school graduation in Richmond, Virginia. Interim Police Chief Rick Edwards says they have 19-year-old Amari Pollard in custody.
He had very little interaction with us, was not a convicted felon, not a person on our radar. So that's one of the reasons it's very surprising that this escalated the way it did.
The 2 who died were a graduate from the school and his stepfather. Your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 37 points on the day right now, but the NASDAQ down sharply at 132 points, about 1% right now. And our KSL weather, looks like we'll get that thunderstorm again this afternoon. That may taper off in the next couple of days. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Early mornings can be hard enough, just getting yourself going.
We try to make it a little easier with news and weather from comfortable, trusted anchors and reporters.
Join us on Utah's Morning News between 5 and 9
on KSL News Radio.
This is Jeff Stout with Fink and McGregor Mortgages Made Simple. FHA has announced a significant reduction in mortgage insurance rates. This can be a game changer for some people. FHA rates are typically lower than conventional mortgage rates. Combine this with lower mortgage insurance and FHA is worth a look. FHA is especially attractive for low down payment, cash out, or credit issues. You don't have to be a first-time home buyer and you can refinance into or out of an FHA loan. Another attractive feature of an FHA loan is the ability to streamline refinance when rates come down. No appraisal needed, limited documentation, and low cost helps you lower your payment with minimal fuss. Call us today. Fink and McGregor Mortgages Made Simple, 801-264-9494. That's 264-9494. Or on the web at finkmcgregor.com. NMLS 289115.
Introducing Yes Heating, Air Conditioning, Plumbing, and Electric. We're bringing all of Utah's favorite HVAC, plumbing, and electrical brands under one roof. The same people you know and trust, providing Utah with the same great service you've counted on for more than 45 years. We're even throwing in a great offer for you. Say yes and beat the summer heat with our $49 tune-up special. For all your heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical needs, you can always count on yes. Visit theyesmancan.com to schedule your appointment.
Judge Janine Pirro here. Federal Reserve staff just said the banking crisis fallout could push the economy into recession. But you can protect your hard-earned retirement with gold. I love and trust gold. Even the big banks are buying gold. My favorite gold IRA company is Augusta Precious Metals. Call them today and get their ultimate guide to gold IRAs. Tell them Judge Janine sent you, and they'll give you a free gold coin when you open an IRA. Augusta Precious Metals, 844-44-PIRRO. That's 844-44-PIRRO.
June 15th is Elder Abuse Awareness Day, and the Utah Department of Health and Human Services is hosting a virtual event from 10 to noon. Text SENIOR to 57500 to register.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union, helping members since 1935. Here's Ricky Meese.
Looks like an accident we had southbound I-215's westbound at 3500 South on the right has been cleared, but for those traveling State Street, we do have utility work impacting traffic at 1300 South. The Utah Symphony's Deer Valley Music Festival in Park City features Ben Folds, Leanne Rimes, the Beach Boys, and more, June 30th through August 4th in Park City at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, partly cloudy through the day with a chance of thunderstorms again this afternoon. Then we have a cooling trend with the temperatures in the 80s this week, into the 70s next week. And right now, 72 degrees and partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
Dave and Dujanovic have inside sources.
Well, if you missed Vice President Mike Pence's announcement that he is running for president of the United States, that means you're not a vampire. You do not lie awake in the middle of the night when people post things to Twitter like this.
And it'd be easy to stay on the sidelines. But that's not how I was raised. That's why today, before God and my family, I'm announcing I'm running for president of the United States. We can bring this country back.
He posted it about 3 o'clock in the morning on everybody's favorite political announcement platform, Twitter.
You want to be at the top of the feed, Deb. 3 a.m., top of the feed.
So this is on the heels of Chris Christie, former governor, announcing that he's running for president.
Let me tell you something. You better have somebody on that stage who can do to him what I did to Marco, because that's the only thing that's going to defeat Donald Trump. And that means you got to have the skill to do it, and that means you have to be fearless, because he will come back and right at you.
He's talking about Marco Rubio, and there was a little moment on a primary debate stage where he called out Marco Rubio, who had kind of fallen back on the same phrase a couple of different times, and Chris Christie went after him. It was a pretty strong moment, I remember. Boyd Matheson joining us right now. But Chris Christie also reminds me of a lot of the guys that wanted to fight Mike Tyson back in his heyday. They're like, oh, I know how to beat this guy. And then Iron Mike destroys their face.
Yeah. It's always, if you want to be the hero, you can't be the hero. And Chris Christie is coming in as the self-declared, I'm going to be the hero, and I'm going to fight former President Donald Trump. Now, there's two important things to remember. First, there's a lot of misremembering when it comes to 2016.
Are you talking about the Marco line?
Yeah, so he did go after Marco Rubio. It was a stinging thing that happened on the debate stage. But what you have to remember is the day after that debate, it wasn't Marco Rubio that jumped out of the race. It was Chris Christie that jumped out of the race. And so you don't get to be the hero if you're falling off the ship and you grab somebody else's leg and you pull them down with you. That's not winning. So that's the first important thing, is he didn't win. He was 10th in Iowa, 6th in New Hampshire, and got out of the race right after that debate with where he took on Marco Rubio. Marco Rubio stayed in the race for another 8 weeks, so it wasn't like it totally destroyed him. It was a bad moment for sure. But here's the other thing that's really important. So a lot of people are saying Chris Christie getting in the race, all the other candidates are going to cheer because he's going to be the one to go take on and do the dirty work of taking on President Trump.
So it'll be the two of them battling it out over here.
Exactly. And so some people are saying, oh, that'll be so great. It will allow the other candidates to stay above the fray.
Okay.
And I'm telling you, that is dead wrong. And here is why. The moment that Chris Christie is on that stage, and we have to remember, Chris Christie was Donald Trump before Donald Trump. Brash, in your face, inappropriate, taking wild swings at people's personalities and flaws. That's Chris Christie. He's that kind of politician. So the moment he gets on the stage, it will be a cage match between the former president and Chris Christie, which is exactly the person who's cheering Chris Christie getting in the race the most is not the other candidates in the race. It's Donald Trump, because President Trump is a counter-puncher, and he needs someone who is tough and mean that he can go at and go the rounds with, because what that does is it creates 2016 all over again, where it will be impossible for anyone to talk about principle or policy because you're going to have this cage match between Chris Christie and the former president.
And so far, with all the candidates, whether it's Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, whoever it might be, none of them have engaged directly, Ron DeSantis included, engaged directly tit for tat with the former president, with Donald Trump. They just haven't played the game. They've nibbled at the edges a little bit, but largely have not engaged in that tit for tat that the president thrives on.
Yeah, that's right. And you said it exactly right, that the former president thrives on. And I think it would be wise for all of those candidates to go a completely different direction.
Me too.
And ignore it.
Yeah.
That's what you do to a bully. That's what you do to a loudmouth. That's what you do to a heckler in a crowd. If you engage with them, it's game on, and you're going to lose.
Well, you don't even need. I think, Boyd. Of course, you are much more in tune with this than I will be because of your history and your work history. But I don't even think you need to ignore him. I think what these candidates must do is they need to tell the American people what their platform is, what they stand for, how they will lead us. And enough of this looking back. Yeah. We are all burnt out on living backwards with these candidates.
That's right. And
there's not a person I talk to isn't just sick and tired of hearing about 2016.
Yeah.
So we're not living backwards anymore. We never have been able to. We can't rewind time. We can't do it's. There's no do-overs or mulligans. Move us forward. And I want the candidates going to get out there and tell me how they're going to move us forward.
That's right. Yeah, everything in the rearview mirror is backward-facing. Grievance policy, grievance politics. Everyone's exhausted and exasperated by it. In fact, if you look at any of the polls just from a broad sense, everybody's exasperated by it all and would like a different vision in terms of where you're going to lead me. Not what you're against. Tell me what you're for. That's how you can do it. And that's how you change the conversation in American politics. It's not going back and rehashing. I always tell politicians, you can never win this election based on the last election because everything changes and the dynamics shift. If you fight the last war, you lose the next war. And so for these Republicans who are trying to replace the former president as the nominee for the Republican Party, if they're fighting the last war, whether that's 2020 or 2016, that is a losing strategy to win the battle and ultimately win the nomination.
How much of this will turn into the Chris Christie, Donald Trump show, especially if they end up on a debate stage where they dominate the entire conversation just going back and forth against each other?
Yeah, that's going to take a very skilled moderator to do it, because typically in a debate, if someone mentions your name or references you in some way, then you get to respond. Chris Christie and Donald Trump could fill multiple hours, way more than one debate, just going back and forth with pejoratives and name-calling and all the other things. And so it's going to take a real skilled moderator, especially if it's a large number of candidates on there. That's going to be tricky. It's going to be really tough to stay on principle, to stay on policy.
What's the timeline to narrow this group down?
Really interesting. Chris Sununu, governor of New Hampshire, who announced that he is not going to run, definitely not running. He made a really interesting statement. He said, I don't care how many people get into the race. It's when they choose to get out of the race that matters. And he says that takes some real self-reflection, some self-awareness, and some humility. And he actually put the timeline as Christmas. of this year. If you're not polling well, if you don't have some momentum going, then you need to get out of the race. I think that's probably a little soon. I think we should at least let a few people vote in Iowa and New Hampshire. And again, we have to remember, even as important as Iowa and New Hampshire and South Carolina are, that's a really small amount of delegates.
Here's the governor, Kristen Nunu. Sorry, Boyd. I lost the show. Actually, I totally lost the show.
I wonder
on my
where
computer.
you went, Dave.
I'm over here. I'm back. I'm
Debbie's
back. Here's Kristen Nunu on with CNN's Dana Bash.
Look, I don't mind who gets into the field, but given where the polls are right now, every candidate needs to understand the responsibility of getting out and getting out quickly if it's not working. And I can be more candid about that as the governor of the First in the Nation primary, calling candidates out, saying, look, you gave it a try, you're still in low single digits, you got to get out of the race. And I'm not.
By when? What's the deadline?
Christmas at the latest.
So how does that timing work? Walk me through what the next 6-7 months look like if people have to make that decision by December.
Yeah, and again, I think he's a little quick on the trigger on that one. So you're going to have about 100 days here over the course of the summer until you get to Labor Day, where a lot of message testing will go on. You'll see a lot of rising and falling from the candidates. You'll get right up to that. It's actually the 24th of August is the first Republican debate. Who gets on that stage, that will be a big one. Then there's a series of debates between then and Christmas. So I do think you'll see some things start to shift and shake out. But again, go back to Barack Obama. If he would have had to get out at Christmas, he would have gotten out, and they would have had a coronation of Hillary Clinton, and it would have changed everything.
2008?
2008 was very similar for McCain. And even Mitt Romney, it took time to get that momentum going. And so I don't know that we should just put everything for either the Democrats or the Republicans on just Iowa, New Hampshire, and South Carolina. I think we got to get a little bit more than that. So I think you got to give people a little bit of runway because, again, remember, it's all about getting delegates. It is the one thing that Barack Obama showed you can do this if you organize and have the process down. You can be lagging in the polls all you want, but if you start building that kind of machine and army, you can win it. And again, takes dollars, takes organization, takes real leadership. And so it'll be interesting to see who gets on that wagon and who can drive that train down.
Check out Inside Sources today with Boyd Matheson, 1 to 3.
We're going to take phone calls, Boyd. We're going to take phone calls on the heels of our discussion with Boyd Matheson on who's your candidate? Who is your person right now if you are voting Republican? Nikki Haley. Is it Donald Trump? Is it Ron DeSantis? Is it Mike Pence? Is it Chris Christie? What about Tim Scott? I know there's about 10 more that I didn't list. Dave, you want to pick up the list? There's so many. It's a baseball team.
I can't speak that quickly.
It's a baseball team full of GOP candidates. But who is your person right now? We know it's early. We don't care. 801-575-TALK. We want to talk to you next.
Dave and Dujanovic. Hi, it's Tim Hughes and Amanda Dixon.
Why should you start your day with us?
We have decades of news experience between us.
And we take your trust seriously.
Come here for news tomorrow, 5 to 9.
On KSL.
Summer 2023 will be one to remember.
Mike Pence and Chris Christie set to enter the race.
Governor Cox is actively looking for trade away from China.
Brace for higher gas prices.
It's a summer to camp out on KSL. Tim and Amanda have breaking news, mornings 5 to 9. David Dujanovic and Boyd Matheson talk about the biggest stories during the day. And you get updates and Jeff Kaplan's Minute of News from 3 to 7 on the drive home. The summer of 2023 will be on KSL News Radio.
You love free. I love free. I mean, free summer stuff is the best summer stuff. How about a free slushie, a Frazzle? I like to grab my Frazzle at Maverick. They're all over the place in Utah, Idaho, Nevada. Tons of places to get Frazzle. In fact, I think there's even stuff across the world. They're in so many different places, Central America, Europe, Asia. But this is really a local operation. Frazzle started in Utah. It's headquartered in Utah. And Frazzle wants to take care of you here in the month of June with free Frazzle Fridays. That's a 12-ouncer. You get a free Frazzle. Just show up. Get your delicious slushie. I'll tell you the one I love, Tiger's Blood. It sounds way creepier, but it is delicious. It's the best snow cone, first of all. Always has been. Try it in slushy format. Try it with a Frazzle. You're going to absolutely love it. So check it out. It's free Frazzle Fridays in June.
At Simply Safe, we design award-winning security to protect every inch of your home. It's easy to set up yourself, and now there's an even easier option. Have an expert do it for you with SimpliSafe Pro Install. Always protecting, never a contract. 2 easy installation options. Backed by 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Gentle with the nail trimmers. You mustn't nip the quick.
Short-staffed, Marco needs to fetch some help now.
The poodle has to look like a bear. Scruffy to fluffy.
He needs a groomer that will be the bark of the town.
Please hold. Has anyone groomed a chinchilla before?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It doesn't get better than summer camping in Utah, and it doesn't get any bigger than the Utah Summer RV Palooza, presented by Bish's RV. We're bringing the biggest RV show in the region to Layton, June 8th through the 10th. For 3 days only, the Layton Hills Mall is where you'll find a massive selection of top RV brands like Go Play, Ember RV, Forest River, Northwood, and a whole lot more. Get up to 20% below cost on select new 2022 RVs and get 90 days no payments on approved credit for all play and no pay till September OAC. Summer RV Palooza is where you'll find a brand new 26 BH travel trailer. It's high quality at an undeniable value at a sale price of only $19,995. The selection is huge, and so are the trade-in offers. Get max value for your current RV when you trade in at the show. Shop the Summer RV Palooza now at Bishes.com/Utah RV Palooza. 3 days only, June 8th through the 10th at the Layton Hills Mall. Sponsored by Bishes RV.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bomas. First, Utah's State Health Department trying to fix a mistake with personal information and letters sent to Medicaid recipients. Second, Salt Lake City crews are trying to restore water to a senior housing complex on 3rd East. Water main break interrupted service there this morning. Third, police in Richmond, Virginia say the suspect who killed 2 people and injured 5 at a high school graduation may have known one of his victims. Right now, 72 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. And back to David Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
The race for the White House. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
Mike Pence announced at 3 a.m. this morning on Twitter that he's running to be your next president of the United States. We know that the former governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, has also announced in the last, 24 hours or so. Nikki Haley, former ambassador to the United States to the UN, she has long since announced, I think she announced on Valentine's Day or close to that, and she held a town hall this last weekend on CNN. The field is growing for the GOP. Of course, Donald Trump, been in the race for years, many years. Tim Scott.
Never stopped running.
South Carolina Senator, he announced. Remember, we took that announcement live. Who is your person? 801-575-TALK. You've got so many to choose from if you're a Republican, Dave.
I'm holding out for an Asa Hutchinson, the dark horse. We didn't see this one coming, the former Arkansas governor. Or is it just the usual suspects? Is it a Trump? Is it DeSantis? Is it Mike Pence? I don't know. I like how big that grows. I just saw some recent polling, and this is some internal polling with Ron DeSantis, but this came out of the New York Post that showed head-to-head, because we've been talking for a while about how big of a lead that President Trump has over Ron DeSantis, but this is this isn't like Ron DeSantis' kids held a poll, but they showed that he's only trailing head-to-head President Trump by 2 points in Iowa, so far closer than you maybe have read in the past.
Have you heard the name Doug Burgum? Doug Burgum, anyone? Anyone?
Bueller?
Governor of North Dakota, and 538, which is a polling firm out of New York we speak to often. They write many stories and follow politics very closely. It says that he could be the dark horse of this race, saying he's a billionaire, by the way. He's a billionaire, had shares in or investment in a software company that sold out to Microsoft back about 23 years ago. And he will use the same playbook that he used to get himself elected to the governor's seat in North Dakota, and that is he will largely fund his own campaign. He can afford to throw millions at it. And he was definitely a come-from-behind victory in North Dakota when he was running for governor a few years ago. In fact, he was down in the polls by like 49%. Down in the polls. He didn't have 49%. He had 10% likability or support. And he came back, and he is the governor of North Dakota. They're just saying he's one to watch. He is one to watch. Taking your live phone calls, 801-575-TALK. Is Doug Burgum on your short list?
Rick in Salt Lake City, do you have a favorite?
I do. I think it's time for a real American to be our president. One we can look up to and have our sons emulate, and that would be Mike Pence. And I think he ought to announce early on that his vice president will be Dr. Rand Paul, the first one to take on Dr. Fauci. Pence, Paul, that's a winning ticket.
Pence and Paul, you get more the libertarian with Rand Paul. Obviously, Mike Pence. Rand Paul is certainly more of a firebrand than Mike Pence is. Rand Paul not afraid to mix it up and get in a fight and challenge the status quo. Mike Pence, a little bit more, perhaps even presidential. In fact, when we were watching the race with Trump and Pence, I always thought in the debates, Mike Pence looked and sounded far more presidential than Donald Trump did.
You know who else I thought did a really great job just a couple of nights ago on a major platform at CNN on her town hall was Nikki Haley.
And I remember when I would get teased on the playground, I would come home and my mom would say, your job is not to show them how you're different. Your job is to show them how you're similar. And it's amazing how our country should take my mom's advice right now.
Yeah, I thought she had some very powerful moments.
We've got a country to save. I am a two-term governor that took a double-digit unemployment state and turned it into an economic powerhouse. I was at the UN. I didn't deal with one country. I dealt with 193. And I took the kick me sign off of our backs. It is time for a new generational leader. It is time for us to leave the baggage of the past, the negativity to the past, and start thinking of our families and the families across America.
But she's one of many in a growing field of possibilities for the GOP, trying to get out of the primary so they can get on the ticket in the general election.
There's a real mix. There's a serious mix when you look at the ages. Vivek Ramaswamy, who is an entrepreneur, he's 37 years old, billionaire tech. I don't know, maybe he's not a billionaire, but he's extremely wealthy. But he has been very interesting. I've been listening to what he's had to say. I think he probably has better ideas out there than many politicians I've heard from. Ron DeSantis is 44, but then you have the older politicians. Donald Trump is 76. Doug Burgum is 66. Then a bunch of people in the 50s. So you have people from 37 to 76 running age-wise.
Ron DeSantis has struggled in the last couple of weeks to really get out of the gates, from what I can tell.
Well, I am running for president of the United States to lead our great American comeback. Look, we know our country's going in the wrong direction. We see it with our eyes, and we feel it in our bones. Our southern borders collapse. Drugs are pouring into the country. Our cities are being hollowed out by spiking crime. The federal government's making it harder for the average family to make ends meet and to attain and maintain a middle-class lifestyle. And our president, well, he lacks vigor, flounders in the face of our nation's challenges, and he takes his cues from the woke mob. I don't think it has to be this way. American decline is not inevitable. It is a choice.
Still having a struggle defining the word woke every time he uses it, and he loves to use that word. But his is more of a series of just technical glitches where he failed out of the gates to get his message smoothly out and addressing the American people on Twitter that he was running for president. I think that was a moment that has haunted him for the last couple of weeks. It was an opportunity to get millions and millions and millions of eyeballs, and quite frankly, younger eyeballs and ears on your message by using a platform. It was unique in that it garnered a ton of publicity that he was doing it this way, and then they just could not get the feed launched. It was several minutes, if not almost 30 minutes, before they were able to get the feed launched. Tonight, Mike Pence is going to formally announce is this live right now that I'm looking at Mike Pence making an announcement live on national television, or is that
Nation?
Is that a feed? Let's get that live feed. It looks like former Vice President Mike Pence is at a podium, probably in Iowa, where he promised that he would make the formal announcement. He made the video announcement earlier this morning. Let's go there live now to Pence Mike Pence as he officially kicks off his presidential campaign.
The people of this state and nation. Now, most Americans know me from my last assignment in the White House. What you may not know is I was also a congressman from Indiana for 12 years. I was a leader for House conservatives. We fought for life and liberty. I battled against big spenders in both political parties during those years, and most of them remember it. I was a governor in Indiana where we cut taxes, as you heard from Speaker Houston. We achieved record employment. We expanded educational choice, stood for the right to life and the freedom of religion. And as your vice president, I was proud to stand by President Donald Trump every single day when we made America great again. Everything I am, everything I ever will be, I owe to my family, the people of this country, and to Almighty God. I often think of that verse that King David wrote. Who am I? And who is my family that you brought me this far? You know, I truly do believe in the boundless potential of every American to live the American dream. But traveling around this country over the past 2 years since I left office, it feels different, doesn't it? Talking to our fellow Americans, I see weariness on faces everywhere I go, and I hear it in their voices. I don't have to tell any of you here, this country's in a lot of trouble. President Joe Biden and the radical left have weakened America at home and abroad. The confidence and pride that once lifted the American spirit to new heights not so long ago has given way to fear and a growing angst that our best days might be in the past. In many ways, our country has grown barely recognizable than just a few short years ago. There are crises everywhere. Our borders under siege. Inflation's at a near 40-year high. Gas prices are through the roof. Fertilizer and fuel prices are working a hardship on family farms here in Iowa and Indiana and all across the country. Crime is skyrocketing in our major cities. Real wages are falling and our national debt is piling up like a mountain range on our children and grandchildren. And that disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan has emboldened the enemies of freedom around the world. And maybe worst of all, timeless American values are under assault every day. In classrooms, our children are indoctrinated into radical ideologies and even taught to hate our history. And from boardrooms, our faith and beliefs are insulted routinely, while government agencies target concerned parents and punish consumers in the name of social justice. We're better than this. This country has been so good to my family, and I've been honored to serve it. We both have. And it'd be easy to stay on the sidelines. That's not how I was raised. I've long believed that to whom much is given, much will be required. That's why today, before God and my family, I'm announcing that I'm running for President of the United States of America. I know we can bring this country back. We can defend our nation and secure our border. We can revive our economy and put our nation back on a path to a balanced federal budget.
We've been tracking a developing story. Former Vice President, Mike Pence, making his first appearance as a presidential candidate, his first live appearance. You heard the announcement moments ago. He's running for GOP on the GOP ticket. He made kind of a, I don't know, what do I want to say, sort of a
soft launch.
Soft launch. Thank you, Dave. In the middle of the night on Twitter with a short video announcing it. But there you go, his official announcement.
Yeah, his first time live in front of the folks of Iowa, where all the GOP candidates are. They're bouncing around Iowa, New Hampshire. They'll be down in South Carolina before you know it, trying to gather up those early delegates. But Mike Pence, the former vice president, makes it official.
Let's get you to the newsroom for more news updates.
It's 11:34 at KSL News Radio. I'm Dan Bomas. KSL's top local story this hour: 300 East between 800 South and 900 South in Salt Lake City will be closed for a couple of weeks to repair a water main break. Chloe Maroney with the Salt Lake City Public Utilities Department says this main served a senior housing facility nearby, where they hope to have the water back on this afternoon.
It's unfortunate, obviously, for those folks in the senior living facility, but thankfully it's not impacting a larger area.
And Maroney says the Salt Lake City Police Department is running traffic control. Repairing the street where the water break occurred will take a couple of weeks. A group is working to get rid of the new Utah flag and gathering signatures to keep the historic flag in its place. KSL News Radio's Kate Davis has more.
This group that's been repeatedly fighting against Utah's new tricolor flag is in the middle of holding a series of hearings to kick off signature gathering. The Standard Examiner reports they're working to gather enough signatures for a November 2024 ballot initiative to get rid of the new state flag. Former lawmaker Fred Cox is spearheading this movement and says it could start gathering signatures as soon as this week.
Supporters of the new flag see it as a way to put Utah on the map. Opponents are protective of the imagery in the historic flag, like the Seagull Lily and the U.S. flag. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Just heard former Vice President Mike Pence make his announcement as a candidate for the Republican nomination for president. Utahns sadly familiar with poor air quality caused by local pollution and wildfires, but it's something new for New Yorkers. They're being urged to stay indoors. Mayor Eric Adams calling for residents to use air purifiers while they're indoors with this wildfire smoke.
This is an unprecedented event in our city, and New Yorkers must take precaution.
And your money at this moment, the Dow Jones average up 35 points on the day, but the NASDAQ is down 161 points right now. And our KSL weather, we're going to see that thunderstorm again this afternoon. That's next. KSL News Time, 11:36.
What do you need to hear in the morning to feel ready for the day?
Important news that happened overnight, the traffic you'll hit on the roads.
You'll be ready for your day with us.
Join Utah's Morning News 5 to 9 on KSL News Radio.
If you love to follow breaking news like we do, register for breaking news alerts by texting the Cyprus Credit Union KSL text line. Text the word news to 57500.
Hey, Derek Overstreet here from the New Millennium Group, financial advisors in Utah. You know, I've been helping people retire in the state of Utah for the last 20 years. The way we do that is we actually find out what is important to you. We create a step-by-step plan that takes into consideration your income, your debt, whether you want money from real estate, stock market, annuities, life insurance, whatever. If you want to deal with professionals, people that are fiduciaries and have a legal responsibility and obligation to do what's in your best interest, Give my team a call at 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370. Or go to my website, utahsfinancialplanner.com. If you'd like to retire 3 to 5 years before you thought it was possible, give my team a call right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind, like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. To learn your risk, take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Yeah, I'm so stressed. Our business is growing. We've got people all over now.
Ooma.
What is that? Meditation?
I'm recommending the Ooma cloud phone system with auto attendant and more than 50 features.
Ooma?
Yep, switching to Ooma is a cinch. Just $24.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Now you're feeling it. Find small business calm at ooma.com/radio. That's OOMA.com/radio.
Our state's children face a serious threat from the vaping industry. But thanks to state leaders and the Utah Health Department, Utah established the strictest nicotine standards for vaping in the United States to protect our kids. However, the vaping industry sued, claiming their sales and profits are down. Now they're pushing the health department to hand control of vaping regulations to the federal government. We can't allow that to happen. The proposed change would automatically increase nicotine levels in vape pens and reintroduce fruity flavors that entice our kids back into Utah convenience stores. Visit StopKidsVaping.com today and make your voice heard. Utah should maintain state control, preserve our 3% nicotine limitations, and prevent vaping flavors from returning to Utah convenience stores. Together, we can secure a better future for our children. Join us at StopKidsVaping.com and tell the health department, protect our kids.
Paid for by Prosperous Utah Communities.
At KSL News Radio, we have a 30-year legacy of honoring Utah teachers, but we can't do it without your help. Please tell us about an important teacher in your life on the KSL Teacher Tribute Wall, presented by Cypress Credit Union. Each month, one lucky teacher wins a $500 gift card from Cypress Credit Union, a $250 gift card to Harmon's, plus season tickets to Hale Center Theater. Say thanks to your teacher today at kslnewsradio.com/teacher from Cypress Credit Union and KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Granite Credit Union, helping members since 1935. Here's Ricky Meese.
Summit County drivers, be prepared for possible slowdowns again today. This is due to road work going from Highway 40 to the I-80 junction at Silver Summit. Here in the valley, road crews are working on a utility situation in Salt Lake City. This utility work is affecting the southbound right lanes of traffic at State Street and 1300 South. Make Father's Day easy and get the best gift ever, a blanket or a robe from Minky Couture. Shop online at minkycouture.com or any Minky store. Best gift ever, Minky Couture. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, there's a chance of a thunderstorm again this afternoon and a cooling trend with temperatures dropping into the 70s by next week. And right now, 77 degrees, partly cloudy at KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM, 1160 AM, and KSLNewsRadio.com. This is Utah's all-day companion for news.
The war in Ukraine. Special coverage on KSL News Radio.
A major dam collapsing in Ukraine. Now the UN Secretary General saying this will cause a monumental humanitarian, economic, environmental catastrophe on the front lines of the war.
I heard this morning in the New York Times when I was listening to their podcast, The Daily, it said it releases water. The amount of water it released is the size of the Great Salt Lake. So this is not just a small little body of water, a dam. This is incredibly, incredibly large.
Our friends at News Nation tracking this story. Evan Lambert standing by now as the Washington correspondent. Good morning, Evan. Set the scene for us. What's going on today in and around that area?
Good morning, and thanks for having me. So, as you mentioned, this is an especially key dam in the southern portion of Ukraine, and it's responsible, the water that it holds is really responsible for that whole agricultural area, the drinking water in the area, and we're continuing today to see these water rescues. Tens of thousands of people live in these towns and villages downstream of the dam, and this is really one of the places that is the front lines of the battle here between Ukraine and Russia, which obviously invaded more than a year ago now, and so it's impacting this area that has already gone through so much, and the people there on both sides in Russian-controlled towns in that area and in the Ukrainian ones are at risk, according to these officials. So what we know is that as far as the blame game that's happening now, both sides, Russia and Ukraine, are blaming each other. The U.S. said yesterday that it's still trying to figure out whose account was correct, but there is a report out there that the U.S. has intelligence to suggest that Russia was, in fact, behind the destruction of this dam. And it's in an area that they control in the south of Ukraine, or is largely controlled by Russia, and the area where the dam is controlled by Russian troops. It had been damaged before, but yesterday is really when we saw that deluge of water rushing from the dam downstream and imperiling the people in its path. So far, I haven't seen any reports of any deaths, fortunately, but we do know that thousands of people have been evacuated from both Russian and Ukrainian-controlled areas around that dam.
How is this viewed strategically as the war is being fought?
Well, look, this is something that I think is a key to that whole area that is, referred to as the breadbasket, produces a ton of agriculture, and in that area is relied upon. So, obviously Russia controlling that dam was probably a strategic goal of theirs as part of this invasion, and so now you have that area again in the headlines, and really you see all these people that are impacted by the devastation and the recent destruction of that dam. Some 2,000 or so people have been evacuated. We're talking about water levels downstream that have risen 39 feet above normal levels. There was also a report that a zoo in that area close to the riverbanks there was flooded, and all 300 animals were killed as a result yesterday. So, not just impacting the people, but the agriculture and the animal life in that region as well.
Yeah, Evan Lambert, Washington correspondent for News Nation, keeping track of that dam collapse in Ukraine for us. Thanks so much for giving us all the information that you know now, giving us insight that there is word that there is an intelligence report that this could have been caused by the Russians. And look, if you run out or you run low on bombs and bullets, your next act would be to drown people, drown them out.
Well, and even worse than the physical drowning from the dam, as you heard Evan describe it, this is what is feeding Ukrainians. It's the breadbasket of the area. And Russians starving out Ukrainians goes all the way back to the 30s. That's what Joseph Stalin did, and he killed millions of Ukrainians by starving them out. So again, this would play in. This makes a ton of sense from Vladimir Putin, just going back to the old Soviet playbook of, if I can't drop a bomb and get you to submit through bombings, then how about starvation? And that sounds like that is exactly what could be happening here in Ukraine as this dam gets destroyed.
Dave and Dujanovic.
Before Dave and Debbie get started each day, this station is all news all morning.
And later today, we follow up on those stories as you drive home.
Get important news all morning and all afternoon.
Here on KSL News Radio.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Childcare is crucial to Utah's economic success. United Way of Salt Lake Vice President of Public Policy, Elizabeth Garby, shares why.
Childcare is essential for working parents in Utah. It affords them the time to further their careers or education, and their children a strong foundation for future learning. Breakdowns in childcare, however, are putting families behind. We partnered with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Foundation, the Salt Lake Chamber, Utah Community Builders, and Voices for Utah Children to release a report, Untapped Potential in Utah, examining Utah's childcare landscape so the business community and legislative leaders can better understand the unique needs of working parents and impact of a lack of affordable childcare. The report estimates how often parents of young children leave the workforce or educational opportunities because of insufficient childcare. It outlines a conservative estimate of the direct financial impact the breakdowns in childcare have on Utah's economy, a nearly $1.36 billion loss annually. While these challenges are persistent and complex, they are addressable. The business community can play a central role in developing solutions.
By continuing to listen to the needs of parents and working to find public and private solutions, Utah will be better equipped to unlock the economic potential of our workforce. We must work together to find innovative solutions to our childcare challenges. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Ah, the month of June, the perfect time to lose weight. If you've been thinking about it, really, no, I shouldn't say that because any day is the perfect day to start. If you get the gumption to do it today, today is the day. But the reason I bring up June is because when I was overweight, I used to just dread the summer, Tim. I'd sweat so much, my clothes were uncomfortable. I'd never want to wear shorts, so I'd be hot wearing more clothes than I needed to wear. And I want to encourage people to check out sotaweightloss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art, because the weight is going to come off you faster than you think.
And you're going to have more energy to go out and do the things you want to do this summer. Here's the other thing. We mentioned this, that the average person only wants to lose 20 pounds. Yeah. And if the average male is losing 3 to 5 a week, it would take you 4 weeks. So by July, you could have this thing taken care of.
Exactly.
And Soda Weight Loss is the way to do it. My daughter, Amber, lost 42 pounds and just fell in love with the nutritionist that became her best friend along that route. Go to sotaweightloss.com to find out more, spelled SOTA. Think Tim and Amanda. It's state-of-the-art.
When it comes to your electrical system, do you know the warning signs to look for? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and it's okay if you don't know, but here are a few things that you might not even realize could be a sign of a bigger problem. Wall plates that are hot to the touch, discoloration around switches or outlets, if you hear crackling or popping or buzzing around switches or outlets, a breaker that trips a lot, switches that feel loose when you operate them, if your lights dim or flicker when a major appliance comes on, if your plugs fall out of the wall easily. You know, you're not supposed to have to bend the prongs out on a plug just to get it to stay in the wall. If you notice any of these things, you should consider having a licensed electrician check your system out. If you don't know anyone, Any Hour Services has put together a radio-only special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive electrical inspection and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. To schedule your comprehensive electrical inspection by a licensed electrician for only $29, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7300. That's 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
Your taxes are going up, and these higher taxes could be devastating for your retirement savings. Don't be a sitting duck. Learn how you could reduce or eliminate your taxes in retirement with a free retirement tax savings analysis. It's from Boss Retirement Solutions in Salt Lake, a 3-time winner of Utah's Best of State Award. If you've saved at least $200,000 for retirement, schedule your free analysis now by calling 801-682-4448. This free, customized analysis could save tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes when you retire. But time is running out, so don't wait. To get your free analysis, call 801-682-4448. 801-682-4448.
Advisory services offered through Boss Retirement Advisors, an SEC-registered investment advisory firm. Insurance products and services offered through Boss Retirement Solutions.
With the 3 things you need to know this hour, I'm Dan Bonas. First, a group that doesn't like Utah's new state flag is trying again with an initiative petition that would put the issue on the ballot. Second, Salt Lake City crews working to restore the water connection to a senior housing complex on 3rd East. Third, former Vice President Mike Pence announced his candidacy for president this afternoon in Iowa. Right now, 77 degrees, partly cloudy in Salt Lake City. Back to Dave and Dujanovic on KSL News Radio.
Dave and Dujanovic.
I was listening to Jeff Kaplan's afternoon news yesterday on my drive to the gym after I got off work, and I just heard this phenomenal story, and I thought, Dave, we've got to share this with our listeners. The Veterans Affairs Hospital just cut a ribbon on a new wing of the hospital dedicated to substance abuse and a residential rehab program.
The VA has had kind of a wild relationship here in America, and even with veterans, up and down. There's been funding issues, support issues, and we're trying to figure out, we want to support our veterans. Is this the best way? Is it better to do it through a government program, a government hospital, or do it privately? And in fact, I heard Nikki Haley, presidential candidate for the Republicans, talk about this and how she would fix the VA.
And so my way of fixing this is I think every member of Congress should have to get their health care from the VA.
It's an interesting concept to think, okay, if you have so much trust, if you think everything's working well with the VA, then why don't you all get your health care from the VA? So when I hear these stories of additional resources going to veterans, I get very, very excited about it, because for a long time, the resources haven't been there, and veterans have really been left on their own. I've talked to many, and they self-medicate, and they get in trouble that way because they don't have the faith and the trust in the VA.
I want to take an opportunity to sit back and listen to the story that I had an opportunity to listen to during my drive. Hugo Ricard Bell did a phenomenal job. He spoke to a veteran who signed up to serve our country right after 9/11.
Reconstruction of this facility has been going on for, I think, about 4 years now.
Nathan Lippold was 19 when the Twin Towers fell on September 11, 2001.
I happened to be at my mom's house when it happened. I was staying there, and she started screaming upstairs, and I went upstairs to see what was going on. And it was, the Twin Towers had been hit. And, right then I knew that something had to be, I was going to be a part of something.
He signed up to the military and was deployed to Iraq as a combat medic in 2005. At the time, it was the height of the Iraq War.
It was not what I expected. It was interesting. It was just culture shock. I'll put it that way. There's parts of it that are still nightmares for me, and then there's parts of it that I miss. It was a chaotic experience, though, overall, being a medic over there.
The military offers a lot to young men and women in the form of friendship and unity. But soldiers are exposed to things in combat that the everyday civilian just isn't. And when Nathan returned, he wasn't the same as when he left, and he turned to alcohol to cope.
I had to keep myself inebriated, to keep from thinking, to keep from remembering. So it was all day, every day. I might as well do this until I die.
This went on for a few years. Failed relationships, distance from family and friends, and a declining mental state ensued. And it wasn't until his mum stepped in and phoned the Veteran Affairs that Nathan finally sought help.
My counselor, Rod, for some reason, he said one day, one day I realized that I don't have to live this way. That is something that is still kind of a mantra for me. I still remember that to this day. I don't have to live in pain.
The program worked on Nathan, and now he works for the VA, helping others who are going through the same thing.
So he now works for the VA, and there's this new facility that's opening up. There was a ribbon cutting yesterday for it. Hugo Ricard Bell. What can you tell us about not only Nathan and what he does now to help others, but what this new facility will do for people who have found themselves in the same situation he found himself in?
Yeah, so the facility is focused on substance abuse and rehabilitation and residential rehabilitation. So in other words, rather than just going and seeing a counsellor every day and then going home and that sort of thing, it's a 5 to 8 week program that they go and stay. And when it's operating at full capacity, they'll be able to have 30 veterans living there at once. We all have friends who have served and that sort of thing. You speak to any of them and that sort of unity between troops and that sort of thing. I think that's what that real focus is. If there's 30 of them doing it together, they're most likely going to get through together. And that was something that Nathan sort of said as well. That was a really important part of his rehabilitation, and it didn't happen all at once. I think he had 2 or 3 goes at it, but by that last go, he got through.
Why the hesitation from veterans to turn to the VA?
Oh, that's $1 million question, isn't it? I think it's probably I don't know if it's necessarily turning to the VA that they struggle with. I suppose from people I've spoken to, it's more about just turning to help in general. Some of the things, like we said in that story, that they see overseas when they're serving is just stuff that, you and I don't. And so where it might be easy for you and I to go and seek help over something that we're dealing with, it's because we're sitting across from someone who, by and large, has probably dealt with something similar. So it's easy to relate. I think it would be hard to talk to someone about, some of the things you've seen over in Iraq or Afghanistan or even Syria or places like that. If that person that you're talking to, that therapist or that counselor, hasn't got a clue what that's like or doesn't understand the mentality and the forces and that sort of thing.
When you go down the path of self-medicating through alcohol or substance abuse as well, I think you lose sight on the idea that there is help out there for you. And I really appreciate what Nathan's counselor Rod said to him, and now he relayed to you, is he realized one day the light bulb went on. I don't have to live this way anymore. That was powerful.
Yeah, and we met Rod there, and he sort of so when they did the ribbon cutting, they had one of the doctors stand up and talk about what this facility's going to mean, and then Nathan stood up and gave his story and didn't have any notes, and I think he was asked pretty last minute, and he sort of threw it in there, and it was hard to follow.
Hugo Ricard Bell, thank you for that report.